Today is Monday, August 25th, 2025. I'd like to open the regularly scheduled meeting of the Allenstown, New Hampshire Board of Selectmen at 6 p.m. We start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board members present this evening.
Trish Caluso, Kathleen Halsier, Diana Helpel, Laura Lambert.
Scott McDonald.
John Harrington.
Also present in the room this evening. Mike, when it's
All right. Put Greg on the spot. Beth Howard, Chief Police.
Peter DeSantis. Joe Wood.
Jerry Mills. All right, and we were having a problem with the internet here as well. Zoom, so
No video.
no video this evening. So we'll start our meeting with citizens' comments. Mike, we missed you last time.
Yes. Well, as you may or may not have noticed, the farmer's market craft fair went off pretty well yesterday.
It went off excellent. I went down. There were so many vendors. Yeah.
I heard, well, there was about 15 vendors. Crystal Robbins said she had the hardest time trying to get farmer-type vendors. So it was mostly crafts, and I think one food vendor. But they had 15, and I think they said they had a really busy time the first couple of hours of the event. I got there about 2 o'clock, and it was kind of tapered off. But I think Crystal and Elizabeth Joy said they were pleased with the results of the event. So they were all able to next month at the end of September.
Thank you, Mike. I was hoping Crystal would show up so we could thank her. Every time I went by yesterday, there was a number of cars there. So,
Well, maybe we can get her next time.
and it may just be close proximity to the stand because of the local kids. So. Anybody else for citizens' comments? Hearing none, we'll go to our regular agenda. I think, Joe, you have a gentleman to introduce to us.
Yes. Everybody knows I'm Joe Wood. This is Jerry Mills. Jerry Mills from Aspen Council 93, the New Hampshire coordinator for the county.
So, Joe, if you would, just give us a quick description of how you folks got here tonight.
So, on behalf of the members of the fire department, we're looking to unionize, and that's why we're here this evening. And I am representing them, and Jerry is representing us.
Jerry's here primarily to ask questions, so I hope we don't
Answer
Answer.
questions.
answer. I'm sorry, Jerry.
No, any questions about the process with the Public Employee Labor Relations Board, also known as the PLRB? They are the state agency that oversees labor unions throughout the state of New Hampshire. Petitions to organize a labor union get filed with them.
So basically what we're looking for this evening is to answer questions and then get what we would refer to as a joint petition, which means the select board would agree and we'd sign that in agreement and then go to the next step.
Maybe you could start out by giving us some information, that might provide questions. We may have questions, but maybe you give us
I could
more
probably answer some of
information than what you did today.
So the process through the Public Employee Labor Relations Board is we get cards signed by the potential members. They sign authorization cards that get submitted to the Public Employee Labor Relations Board along with a petition for certification. There's 2 different processes. One is a joint petition, and that's where the employer and the union submit the petition together.
The other is if the board does not authorize the town administrator to sign the petition, then we submit a petition forward by ourselves. And when we do that, the PLRB would notify the employer they received a petition on behalf of the firefighters to organize the labor union, and then they would ask if you have any objections. If you have objections, they would schedule a hearing. You would go to that hearing with your attorney, we would come to that hearing with our attorney, you would tell them why you object to it, and then we would explain why we would disagree with the objection. Your objection would have to be based on some sort of fact or matter of law that would not allow them to become a labor union. When we were first approached by the employees here, we sent all of the job descriptions to our legal department, asked them to review the job descriptions and tell us if they saw any issues or concerns. Our legal department reviewed those, did not see any issues or concerns, and that's how we got here. So after, whether it be a joint petition, you would skip that whole hearing process. If it were a joint petition, if it were not a joint petition, then there would be the hearing if you filed an objection. And then, as I said, you would go to the hearing, you would explain what those objections are, and then they would render a decision. If the decision was favorable to the union, then they would schedule a pre-conference hearing, which is done over Zoom, and they would talk about the election process. So they would just say, okay, we're going to have an election on this date, at this location. These are the eligible employees that are allowed to vote, and it would be the majority of those that actually vote, not the majority of the total proposed unit, but anyone that shows up to vote. You would have to post that notice for X amount of days in whatever locations were agreed to, so it'd probably be the town hall and the fire department. And then at the election, they'll receive a ballot when they check in. They have to bring a driver's license, they check in, who they are. Then they go over to a makeshift voting booth at the back of the room, and they vote. There would be two choices to vote. One is no affiliation, and one is affiliated with National Council 93. The town is allowed to have a witness to the elections. The union is allowed to have a witness to the elections. And at the end, when the ballots are counted, both witnesses from each side sign off saying that yes, the count is accurate, the election was run properly. If we are successful in that election, then you would receive a notice from the Public Employee Labor Relations Board to start negotiations, and then you would negotiate a first contract. We organize a lot of new units. We have over 100 units up here in New Hampshire. Recently, in the last month or so, we've been representing in 3 different bargaining units up in the city of Lebanon, and we just, with a joint petition with management out there, we just organized 3 more units, so now we're up a total of 6 there. They signed a joint petition. We represent Milford Police Department. Recently, we had another group up there want to organize. The town signed a joint petition with us also. These units, these towns and cities would not sign joint petitions if they saw a problem with the labor union. We pride ourselves on building relationships with the employer. We see this more as a partnership. Recently, Manchester Housing Authority, which is the largest housing authority in the state, they have approximately 2,000 units, notified the union that they, unfortunately, due to budget loss last year, over $1 million to increased utilities and expected cuts from the federal government, they were going to lay off 14 employees in the maintenance department. We asked them if they'd like to sit, have a conversation, see what we could do to reduce that number. And we met with them, worked with them. We got that number down to 4 layoffs. And we potentially could even get that down to one layoff, because we also came up with language about if employees submit predated, irrevocable letters of intent to retire by January 1, they would maintain those positions until January 1, they would take those positions out of the potential layoffs. We work in partnership, and when we work collaboratively together, we get much more done. We're not adversarial. We want to work together, find solutions, and when we work together collaboratively, much more gets done. Towns and cities that have labor unions have a much greater retention of employees, and they also have a much better recruitment. They have more success through the recruitment. And that's really about it. Like I say, we just did over 100 employees at Dartmouth College. We just finished that first contract. That was voted, ratified, signed. We're looking at a couple of other units up there, more than 100 members per contract also. Enfield, we're doing first contract out there for public works employees. So these are just some of the current, very recent things. We very seldom ever have employers contest petitions, and to my knowledge, any place that we have a presence, we've never had an employer refuse to do a joint petition. We have very good relationships with all the employers up here. When I met with the town administrator and the chairman of the board, I told them, if you go on the PLRB website, you can see what towns we're in, reach out to their town administrators, mayors, and can ask about asking in the relationship. We pride ourselves on having a very good relationship. We have a grievance review process. We don't move frivolous grievances forward. We have a committee that reviews grievances, and if they don't have merit, we don't move them to arbitration. We're not here to tie up either side with wasteful time, discussion, and monies. Don't know much more. I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of the process and what we're looking to do.
Take questions?
Yeah, okay.
So I have zero experience with unions. I've worked for privately owned companies. So I have a couple of questions, well, a few questions here. So what motivates this to happen?
I think right now labor unions are probably on the fastest, biggest rise they've seen in the last 30 or 40 years, and I think that's more so due to a lot of issues out there in the tax on labor. I think people are looking for more security. They're just looking to secure what they have and hopefully to even build a better life. And we understand that there are budget restraints and other issues that towns and cities have, and they have to operate within. And we wouldn't be asking for things that are unreasonable that you can't achieve because we're never going to get them. So we try to work together to come up.
So, and then my next question is kind of a two-part. What's the benefit to the residents of the town, and what's the benefit to the fire department?
So the benefit to the residents of town, again, is retention, because turnover costs money. Training, putting firefighters through the academy, time, money. Recruitment, like I say, you attract usually more applicants and better applicants because contracts are published usually on the town's website. They're also published on the PLRB website. When someone sees an ad for a firefighter position there, they can go in, they can see what the benefits are, what the salary range is, and it just gives them a better idea, and then they also feel a better sense of security, like, okay, I'm going to go work for a place, I'm not just an employee as well, and I know what my benefits are, and I can look at a salary scale, and I can see where I would residents and the employer. And for the firefighters, the benefits are, again, they can see a process. There's a process if there's a disagreement on something, how to resolve that. There's a process for promotions. There's a process for cost of living adjustments.
So like a clearly defined path.
Yeah.
They can say, here I am.
And it's,
Whereas if you don't have a union,
I think the biggest thing for this is that it ensures that we are out the door every time someone dials 911, that equipment's going to roll no matter what. Yes, it's rolling now, but this will always ensure that this is going to happen no matter what. That equipment will constantly roll out the door when someone dials 911, no matter what's going on in town, no matter what's going on in this building, no matter what's going on, that equipment goes out the door. And I think that's one of the most important things to take away from this.
So, are you,
no, I mean, go ahead.
to kind of follow up with Diane's question about, for the fire department, what is the enticement? If you could speak a little bit more about it.
So from the fire department standpoint, it is making sure that that equipment goes out the door every day for the citizens and that we're constantly providing the best service we can for them. Yes, we already are, but it's also going to define a path for everybody to understand that we have levels that we can improve with and go through the motions to make sure that we're always striving for the best and that we're always putting quality people in the position, whether I am there in 6 months or 30 years, it doesn't matter. Or somebody else can just seamlessly walk in the door, there's the process, and it's a standard flow all the way across the board. And it's an even playing field.
From a few other towns that I've seen regarding units, the wage increases go out to the voters to vote.
that is part of the process. If it gets voted down, whenever we negotiate at the table, if it gets voted down and it doesn't get funded, then usually what happens is we come back to the table and we try to figure out why it failed and what we can do or change to go back to the voters and say, okay, we heard you, and here's where we're at, and we hope that this addressed all of your concerns.
We want to make sure this stays a two-way street. In our meeting, I made it very clear that we don't want to butt heads. We want to be able to have conversations. If there is an issue or something's going on, we want to be able to walk in and have conversations like adults and say, hey, listen, let's just work through this. Let's figure this out. And this gives us a clear guideline on how we approach that and how we do that.
In our grievance processes, always start with the first step being the informal meeting with the administration or department head. And then so usually it would be an informal meeting with the department head, and then maybe it goes to a written grievance form if that's not successful, and that usually goes before the town administrator, and then both sides, tell their side of the story, and town administrator renders a decision, and then sometimes the next step would be before the select board, and then to an arbitration, where a third independent party is chosen by both sides. Usually you have mutual agreement. There'll be a list of arbitrators. We'll put forward 3 names, you put forward 3 names, and hopefully we agree somewhere in there on the arbitrator, and then that arbitrator is independent. Here's the case, and that was forward. The arbitrators in New Hampshire is usually out of the Public Employee Labor Relations Board. There are private arbitration companies that we have in some of the contracts, like the American Arbitration Association. That's more common down in Massachusetts and up there. Almost all the employers up here use the LRB for that process because they have hearing officers, and there's no charge for their hearing officers.
So I did a little reading on the PLRB, have some exposure to unions, but still learning. So one of the things, and I wasn't quite grasping what it
So if you start with 10, and for some reason you were to do layoffs, the economy goes bad, then that's a management right. You control the number of employees. But if you were to do a layoff and say you get rid of 2 employees and they're at 8, you have to have 10 to start the union. But if you were to drop down to 8, the union would stay in effect.
So in the fire department, who joins the union? I mean, which positions join? Is it,
So it would be the full-time staff,
okay,
the part-time staff as well.
okay.
And you cannot have on-call firefighters as part of a fire unit. It's not permitted by the DOR. But you can have part-time and full-time.
So how does the relationship with chief and the firefighters, does that change at all? How
Not
does
at all.
that-
Nope, we still work together
Business
just
as
like normal. Yep, just business as usual.
Can you talk a little bit about the supervisors, you know, because I understand there's mid-management unions, and there's some language, legal language, right, on supervisors and mid-management.
Yeah, under the PLRB, there's an RSA, I forget the exact RSA number, and that determines what is considered a supervisor. So under that RSA, the simplest summary, and this actually came from Doug Ingersoll, the chairman of the PLRB, when someone had asked the question, he said the simplest way to explain it, supervisory has to meet a certain threshold, and the most common issue is whether or not a supervisor has the authority, the full discretion to issue discipline, or can only make recommendations for discipline. So if you're a supervisor, you make recommendations for discipline, which the lieutenants here don't have the authority to issue discipline. They can't go and say, hey, I'm suspending you for 3 days, you're out of here, or you're terminated, because they don't have that discretionary power. They don't rise above that bar that's set to be considered supervisors. The 3 new units that we did up in Lebanon were actually supervisor units. There were fire chief, police chief, DPW director, and then there was also another clerical unit from another section of town, and I forget what the third was. I'm not working on that personally up there. But yes, we have separate supervisory units for those higher level that cross that bar and don't fall under. If they're under the bar, they can be in with subordinates.
And the supervisors are not members of that same union, right?
No, the supervisors here, we put in the exclusions because we have to submit a list of positions that would be included and a list of positions that would be excluded. And excluded are fire chief, deputy fire chief, assistant fire chief, admin captain, training captain, call firefighters, and call fire officers. Because they don't fall within the category that's allowed for the type of unit that petition would fall.
John, question for you. What is your experience with unions within the municipal arena?
None.
So, my preference would be to have our legal counsel at least come in and speak to the board about the implications to the board, the rights of the voters, and the rights of the union members, just so we have an understanding from our own legal, you know, how we're proceeding and what this, you know, joint effort would look like.
It sounds to me like it's beneficial. I'm not opposed to it, but I just think it would benefit us. And I would go one step further and say I would like to have that meeting be a public session so that the taxpayers know too, everybody knows what's happening, how they're going to be affected moving forward.
So, as I explained to the town administrator and the chair when we met, that tonight and answer any questions about a joint petition. But if we were not to leave here tonight with a joint petition, then I would just go tomorrow to the PRB, file a petition as asked me only, which you could speak to legal counsel, you could get those thoughts, opinions, have whatever meetings in the interim, but we would get that process rolling, and then the PLRB is going to notify you that they received the petition from us, ask if you have any objections. If you talk with counsel and you have no objections, you just tell them no objections, we avoid the hearing. If you have objections, then they schedule the hearing. You know, we always like to, as a courtesy, give the employer a heads up, like we could have just went and filed a petition, we would have been blindsided and gotten a notice from the PLRB that they're trying to organize a labor union, and you know, we like to start building relationships right from the start, and so that's why we felt it was important to come and meet and talk with them, and then to come here tonight to answer any questions. But again, because I want to be transparent, I want to start forming a relationship. I just want to let you know that my intentions would be to file a petition tomorrow. So
I would
it's
do
joint
the same thing, and like you said, if we have time to consult with legal, if we don't have any issues, then we've got the path to move forward, and we're able to not contest it, or,
Yeah, I just don't want you getting a letter from the PLRB and
No.
saying, what is this?
That's it, if I was in
Yeah.
your shoes, I'd do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we have the authorization cards signed by the employees. They're confidential. The originals must be submitted to the PLRB. The PLRB doesn't share them with anyone. It requires 30% of the potential members. And we have far exceeded that. So yeah, we would just move forward and file tomorrow, and then you would get a notification within a day or two from the PLRB. They're usually pretty quick notifying you that we had filed a petition, and then they would ask if there were objections. And they tend to move rather quickly with that process. So as far as, you know, public hearings and things, I don't know how that would fall into the timeline. They usually try to schedule hearings if there's going to be one pretty quickly and move the process pretty quickly.
I'm pretty sure,
Quickly, days, weeks, what's quickly?
You're probably at a couple of weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks. Typically, they would try to, you know, get something on the books, get a date. Depends on how busy they are also, and if they have a bunch of, because they go out with the representative, they only have, I think, 2 people. They go out in the field to these elections and other things, and then run elections and do hearings. So depending on how busy they are would determine, they might have to push out 3 weeks. But like I say, they like to respond quickly, move quickly. They just don't want to hold things up.
I'm pretty sure that our contract with legal, they provide 1 free session every year for us on any topic we want, so we may be able to get this as our free session. I don't think we've done one yet this year. So just so you know, if you reach out to them, I'm pretty sure that it should be without cost.
Is that the decision of the board to reach out to legal?
And not vote, is that the, I mean, I don't see what's gonna be what's gonna be different, other than we'll get notified and we go to our hearing with our lawyer, right?
Really no difference.
Right, but I don't see a difference.
Other than you probably end up spending money on attorneys and whatever if you're
Right.
objecting or contesting, and I'm not sure on what grounds you would object or contest.
Right.
And neither do we.
So.
Yeah, but I mean,
Right.
and the residents, their hard process becomes when the budget comes before us.
So I'll explain my thought process. So every department head in this town technically has 5 bosses, which is not easy to deal with to begin with, right? So I think, you know, what happens is you get, and every year, some portion of this board turns over. So every year you're getting at least 1 new boss, most of the time too. So some boards will say, hey, we want to put police, fire, the highway on a certain trajectory and, get moving and make some changes and, and procure equipment and get a good plan going. And then the board turns over and the next board has something different. So these department heads are always bouncing from, oh, we're doing this, nope, now we're doing this, nope, now we don't support this, now we support this. I can see that's pretty frustrating for all the department heads. I can't imagine I've worked in private industry, but I can't imagine having 5 bosses. So, I sympathize with you guys that have to deal with, 5 different bosses. So, I don't see an issue with this. I would be okay.
I support it. I am part of the union. I believe that the protection for you guys above, the changes like Diana just said, there's not much to say, to be honest. I support it. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I just think it's a big decision in that for clarity and full transparency to make sure we fully understand this. You just admitted you don't have experience with unions, so you're asking your question.
Sure.
I don't know that we covered everything. In my research, I do have some experience with unions. The number one thing that they do recommend for boards working with unions is it's great to be forthcoming and have these meetings and listen to their studies, their fact-finding, their information. We should always be seeking out our own independent information as well. That's just doing your prudence. And to me, it seems like we should be able to get this consultation for free. He's going to go fill out the petition, so hopefully we can get the lawyers to meet with us sooner rather than later for transparency for the public as well, so that they understand the implications of this, how it impacts them. There may be people that at first see this on the agenda, and especially because we're not streaming tonight, they think, what is this? What are they getting us on the hook for? We're having this little consultation sets their mind at ease. It's explaining to them fully how things work, and they say, okay, I can get behind that, I can support it. I think we're doing ourselves a disservice to just jump into this. And then I also would bring up an ethical concern on you even voting on it if your husband's going to be in the union. That would seem like there is one in lottery.
Just checking in. 10 hours a week. 5 hours a week.
I mean,
Just check.
again, I'm not sure what the attorneys could advise you or not advise you on. It's pretty simple. I think it also sends a strong message to the firefighters in the fact that you support them if you vote tonight to support this petition and do a joint, because all they're asking for is to basically memorialize the benefits that they have and have some job protections and have a voice and a process when there's disagreements on how to resolve issues. And again, these issues are resolved usually very informally and by both sides making some concessions. If neither side walks away, yay, then you actually resolved it in a good manner. Because when you go to arbitration, you're putting it in the hands of a third party, and you may not end up happy, or we may not end up happy. But if we work together to find a solution, we all walk away with something we can live with. And that's all this really is. And again, I think it shows that you support your employees if you would vote tonight to move forward with a joint petition, and it just gets the ball rolling without delays. We still have other steps, and that's the election process where the members themselves vote. Unfortunately, and I don't mean this in a bad way, the public doesn't have a say in this. This goes forward whether the residents agree with it or not.
Even if we
Right, potentially, if every one of you said, no, we are opposed to this, potentially the PLRB is going to have the hearing and they're going to make a decision, and I'm not sure what your fact-based objection could be under the law to, I don't see them upholding some sort of objection. So, again, I think it just sends a good message to the.
I don't know, what those objections could
So your objections can only be to the positions in, you know, as I say, the lieutenants don't rise to what the PLRB considers supervisory based on the job description. They do not have discretion, full discretion to issue.
Well, maybe you could help me out a little. What are the cons of?
I can do your point.
I mean, hearing all
The cons of the union, I guess,
There's pluses and minuses to
you know.
everything, and this needs to be put to the people, I think.
But
We can't make a decision tonight. I would say that is dead wrong.
I think we're going to move to the question.
So I would like to say this, that a lot of people think union strike, this, that, and the other thing, you see it on TV. For
Is against
public
law.
service, it's against the
In-
law for
in this
public
state.
service it also is in Massachusetts and many other states.
Most.
There are some states that allow it. Whether we agree on, say, this moves forward jointly or not, whatever happens, there will never be a strike. We are always going to show up. We are always going to go to the calls. We're always going to do our job. We will always put the people first. That is our job. That's important to know.
I was lucky enough to speak with both of these guys. I covered it with questions for 90 minutes earlier in the week, so I want to make sure that everyone else got their questions.
Just have one. What's the cost to the town?
There is, unless you get legal involved, I would say there's no
Yeah,
cost. Other
Cost of
than,
the town, cost of the firefighters.
So the firefighters would pay union dues. Those that opt to, it's not a requirement.
Sure.
Right,
Citizens' comments
right.
are over, I'm sorry.
It's not a requirement under law. There's a law called Janus, where the firefighters could opt to pay union dues or not pay union dues. We can't force them to pay union dues. Years ago, before the Janus decision, if you did not pay union dues, you had to pay agency fee, which was slightly less than union dues. But that is no longer allowed since the Janus law came out. So it's up to them whether they opt in to pay dues or not. And even if they don't pay dues, we still have to represent them. They're still covered by the contract. The only difference being if you're a non-due paying member, you're not allowed to attend the meetings, you're not allowed to submit contract proposals, you're not allowed to vote at the contract ratification, and if we had to represent you, you were suspended, terminated, or whatever, we have a fee schedule that we give them. We ask them, would you like to sign a membership card? If they say no, we say, okay, just be aware, here's the fee schedule. If you get in trouble, you have to give us a $1,500 retainer. We charge this much an hour for an attorney, this much an hour for a staff rep, this much an hour for our clerical staff, and it's very clear up front. And that's all allowed under the law, and we're very forward with that. We're very clear with that.
And do you cover the town's cost for arbitration and our attorneys in those
No.
situations?
So we
cover.
cover, well,
Yes.
yeah, if you have, again, we try to resolve disputes without using legal counsel, without arbitration. So if you use the PLRB, there aren't going to be any, there aren't, I was going to say, my phone's on. There aren't going to be any cost. There is cost for your attorney if we got to that point. But, I mean, if you go on the PLRB website, you can see how many cases have gone to arbitration from ASME. I think we had 2 or 3 last year out of the entire state, maybe 2 so far this year out of the entire state. We prefer to, as I said, work together and walk away with something we can all live with rather than put it in the hands of a third party. And we're not, the more money you spend on legal fees, the less money that you're going to have to give to them and to do things for the residents, and we certainly don't want to, we want to build relationships with the administration and with the residents as well. Sometimes we get the employees and sometimes employees from members from other communities to come over and assist with some sort of program you're running or doing. want to be a partner with the administration of the town, with the residents. You know, we certainly don't want adversarial relationships anywhere. And we're not into fighting. You know, we would rather resolve. Is there a time when something may get to arbitration, we just can't figure it out, we can't come up with a solution, and then we put it in that third party's hands? But when we do it, we also do it with the understanding this isn't personal, we're unable to meet in the middle somewhere, so let's let somebody else try to resolve it. So, yeah, to answer your question, that would probably be the only cost that the town would ever incur are legal fees, and you kind of control that. That's you can, you know, come to the table and work to resolve the issue and avoid that whole possibility.
And I can tell you from the body of the fire department, that is our ultimate goal. We would rather come and have conversations and resolve the issues than spend money with an attorney that could go to the DPW, go to the police department, or be given to the taxpayer for whatever services they can be afforded extra services for.
Yeah, and I do think that that is a strong pro of the union. In my personal experience with them that I've observed, I'm not anti-union, but I have never sat on this side of the table it would be in a union. And I do know that there are cons, there are pros and cons, and so the fact that you can only tell me the pros and no cons, I really feel that no matter how the vote goes, we should be having this consultation with legal, because even if the union comes to fruition, and maybe there's something we're not aware of right now, we should be doing our due diligence and be prepared as we go to that bargaining table down the road, exactly what's going to be expected of us, what questions we should be asking moving forward, what our role in this is. And I do think, even though it's not the taxpayer's decision, they don't have anything to do with this part of it, they will be voting on the budgets and the overall raises, and I think they would appreciate the transparency as well of knowing exactly how this affects them.
I mean, some employers bring attorneys to the contract table for negotiations, some don't. That's more so when you get into talking to your legal counsel, or sometimes you don't bring them to the table to negotiate because of the cost of that, but you may send the final product to them and say, okay, do you see any problems or concerns here? Is this okay to move forward?
I would just like to hear that from our attorney's side. I would like to get their opinion.
And I respect that, appreciate that. As I said, I would appreciate and ask the board to vote this tonight, and just so that way the members at least know where the board stands on this, and then we move forward one way or the other.
Just one last thing. The experience I've had with our attorneys, like on the planning board, calling them, we really didn't get any answers, and we had more questions after the conversation than before. So if we talk to the attorneys, I'd say, well, this would happen with this, would happen with this, or this, or this. And more questions get generated than we got answers, so.
On this
I don't
whole
have-
I've worked with the attorneys that had great results. We got wonderful feedback. They did a presentation for us in 2024. They answered everything. They responded to the emails with any further questions. They did all the reviews, so
Yeah,
it's unfortunate we had that experience on
Yeah.
planning, but, you know.
And no matter the vote, we can always use the legal to make a mess.
Yeah, if you was involved tonight, we would still get legal involved. It sounds like this is happening regardless, so
I'd like to make a
showing
motion.
them the support.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the labor union joint petition for the fire department. Is that correct?
Said, we may need to phrase joint petition in here, or I'm not sure.
I believe that's how she
Labor
spoke
union
the
joint
motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Air conditioner.
Oh, yeah,
So,
Go ahead, Laura, I'm sorry.
I need a second.
1 second.
All in favor?
Laura, aye?
Diana?
Kathleen, no.
Two and a no without legal consultation.
Scott, aye.
sign that petition, I think you have it.
I have one as well.
And then what I will do is I will sign it, scan you a PDF of it. That way you have it for your records, because it's in there that I also gave you a copy of it.
I'm going to give this to you.
That would be signed by the town administrator.
Well, actually, it has to be signed by the board. I don't have authority to sign contracts or agreements.
Okay, normally the select board authorizes the town administrator to sign. Your name is the one on the paperwork.
I saw that.
They recognize.
Yep.
Do you want a motion to, or you go to
I would like to make a motion too, though, that we do consult with legal on the implications of the union being formed within the fire department, how it will affect the board, the fire department employees.
When you sign it, can I get a copy, email it to me?
Yeah, I'm going to scan you a PDF
Perfect.
and email it to you. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you very much.
So we have a motion.
I'm sorry, your motion was?
I make a motion that we do schedule a consult with legal in public session about the implications of the fire department union, how it will affect the employees both participating and not participating, the voters, and the BOS.
And I second.
John, before I go on here, what kind of invoice can we expect from the lawyers?
I don't know. I'd have to ask because we have shifted to Upton and Hatfield. I don't know if you're talking about an agreement with DTC.
Yes, they used to give us a free
Yeah.
consultation once a year.
Most of our work has been going to Upton now. So I don't know. I'd have to look at what DTC.
Default budget, we may want to know what we're spending.
Yeah, maybe we can just get a quote.
I think it's a good idea. This is a big decision. I think we need that information.
I agree, I want to be, it
I think
doesn't,
that's-
we want to find out, we spend the money, but we should know how much we're spending.
Yeah, and moving forward to help us with the bargaining piece of it, because that is
Yeah.
part of it, so that we are prepared. And I've seen a number of places that, initially started out with their attorney helping them out, and then maybe after 2 or 3 years, as their staff moves on without having that attorney present. But I feel that none of us have full union experience enough to be on this end of it, where you were the chief, and then we're,
She's not.
yeah.
It's not debatable, I just think, I agree, I think that we should see if it's gonna cost us money. I mean, we're in a default budget, we say it all the time, so we should probably figure out how much it's gonna cost before we do it. So
It's absolutely gonna cost us money, and most lawyers are about probably
But you
ballpark
were-
500 an
But you
hour.
were referring to a free consultation, so let's figure out if it's free or if it's gonna cost us money, that's all.
Do you know what they're charging per hour?
I don't. It depends on which attorney you get.
I think, unless you've got a contraction, you've got something lower in the contract, I think right now it's about $400 an hour. Maybe it's more.
Yeah,
I
that
just
sounds-
got that from Maureen.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me, between 400 and 500, and again, this is a big decision. We need to know what we're doing as
Well,
a
even if it's
board.
an hour, it's only $1.
Yeah, that's why
It's
it's
still,
still
it's
becomes
like
money.
$100, but
It's
it's big picture of the budget.
It's
Yeah,
legitimate
management would
expense.
be more than it.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty straightforward.
Thank you.
Okay,
So there's a motion and a second
Yeah.
to have a legal meeting in public regarding the union contract.
Yes.
In public, what you said.
In other words, I would invite them to the next meeting if they're available.
It's not top secret information, everything we're doing is public information.
Yes,
So I
like this is a
want the,
public meeting.
yeah, and I want the taxpayers to know how this is going to impact them as well.
Okay, just remember, there
Why
were
not?
certain issues that we go to the voters for by law. But they elected us to run the town. That was a decision that this board had to make, one way or the other. Every time we have a difficult decision, we can't go run into the public.
Well, and we're not
As
asking that
As
they
a
commissioner.
concern, any bargaining pay increases would come up to the voters. So if we are
Yeah.
being transparent to the voters
an open meeting, our agenda has been out since Thursday.
Yeah.
A lot of people view online and we're not streaming, so I think had people known it would have been streaming, you would have seen it.
But that's not something we can control, and they can always go back and listen
It
to
is,
it after.
but we
so.
can have a public meeting at the next session that they're allowed to attend and listen and understand the implications.
I think with the motion, we should just put in there, pending if we find out if it's gonna be a free session or if it's gonna cost us some money and how much that would be.
I do not want to make an amendment.
Well, your motion can be amended prior to the vote if there's a second to the amendment.
Where do we stand?
So we have a motion and a second to have legal counsel come to our next public meeting to ask questions and give information to the board regarding the union contract or the union agreement.
I gotta see what it's gonna cost us. If we get a freebie,
Well, the motion on the table is to get legal in here for our next meeting.
Yeah, I think what we need to do, and we agree that we're going to bring them into the next public meeting, is we will really have to control, if a bunch of people show up, the more questions and the more comments, I mean, that, the meter's running.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
I'm not
made,
saying a public hearing,
Yeah.
just have them here.
right, and
Just like we just did.
we just deliberate, because once we start taking questions, I mean, the price tag is going to climb
we'll
very
have the
quickly.
same question asked 2 dozen times.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
You did a good job tonight, Scott. You did have a member in the audience that wanted to ask questions. You did remind them that this was not a public comment session.
Right,
The same thing could happen with an attorney.
right, because they listen to, some people are going to be for it because they're involved in unions and they think they're great. Some people, like this gentleman,
But they're not making a decision. We're not having
Right,
this meeting,
but-
we couldn't even
Right,
see.
we're not making a
Yeah,
decision.
like
Just
that's
information.
this is just to
So I
be
think-
transparent and share information with the
And-
voters,
Informing us
Yes.
moving forward.
so that we know what to expect.
Did you understand how
So
we
then-
would?
I make amendment to the motion, which was what?
The motion was to invite legal counsel to the next public meeting to talk about the union contract with the board. So there's a motion and a second on the table for that vote.
You ready? All in favor?
Tricia,
Kathleen, aye.
Diane,
Laura, no.
Scott, no. All right, motion passes. All right, next up, the transfer station pilot program. We've got the MOU here. Everyone had a chance to look at it.
the only concern I had was that, there was mention of a 90-day probationary time. And I'm wondering if, right at the end it says, shall be effective as of date of first written above, if we added and terminates 90 days from that. That would be the only concern. Now, while there's mention of it within the body, just finalize that. With regards to contract period.
Isn't that what probationary means?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah.
Probation
I mean,
for 90 days.
yeah.
And the probation period ends.
It was made very clear in the RFP. The proposal that was submitted was very clear that it was understood to be a 90-day program. What the MOU does include is the ability to extend the agreement, should it be successful. But I do not think there's any question on it's a 90-day pilot program.
I do remember it was mentioned, because that seemed kind of a pretty,
If they're not making money, they're not gonna wanna.
That's why there's a periodic monthly review as we get to the 90-day, with the last one being 75 days before the 90, to determine whether or not I bring to you an extension or I bring to you the information that it's not going to continue.
Any questions? All right. I move that the board allow the chair to sign Derek Burr from Vermont Disposal.
Trish got it.
Go Trish.
All in favor?
Trish,
Kathleen, aye.
Diane, I.
Laura,
Scott, aye. All right, Chief Lambert.
Not really a lot of discussion here at the fire chief. The proposal brought forward last week for the step increases for the people that are on probation. Two that were working outside their job. One was promotion and four were, I think four were getting on probation. So, you guys have the records. John has the records. You should have them. I think that included not just me.
I know a couple of the points that we made with regards to that was to look at, all the departments across the town, which we could get the police chief's report from the last, and receiving from any of the departments, so things that they can, request. But then the other part was just more of a detailed explanation. I really appreciate your report, that really informed me very well as to the reasonings for this, and even including the columns, and I appreciate that perspective. So, do you have something that you want us for in writing that explains,
No,
You had presented
the
that.
reasonings for it?
I presented the table last week.
Like this table, but that doesn't give us detail.
No, I explained the fact that it is,
Who's getting what?
that's what I explained last week, is the bottom four are getting off probation, they're full-time firefighters. Lon and Taylor are working outside their job right now, doing more work than they're supposed to. Jared Pierce is now an AEMT, and he was not before, and that was way back last fall, and it was my error that we didn't get caught. Then again, we're in the wage scale study, where we didn't have a structure for that, so now that we do, those are the positions that need to be moved. The second one is Ryan Dayton with his promotion.
And what cost implications would there be if there are not giving these,
But they're not what?
if they're not giving these?
Well, they got off probation. The cost increases, and they're not gonna make any money. But I think
To the
it's,
town, to the town.
That's what it is. That's the cost. We're just not gonna pay them now. So essentially that makes it so these two work the whole year to get off probation. Police officers work and get off probation, and it's been tradition that they move to the right spot. They've been on probation since May 28th, and they have not been paid for getting off probation. So I think it's owed to them that they need to be on probation. So I think it's a fair thing. If we want to retain our employees, we've talked many times about retaining employees. We've given extra holidays for those employees. It was only $8,000. This is only $8,000 or less for the year. To keep an employee, it's only $8,000 a year. So the $100,000 in savings that everybody talked about, it's a small thing to be able to give them to make them like and stay. Because
I mean,
the health
the
insurance
reality
is truly
is-
affecting them. I can tell you that up front, the health insurance is affecting people.
The reality is a good chunk of that holiday pay was paid either way, whether the person worked or not, but I think the biggest implication there was overtime for people that would be working on a holiday. So other than that, the person can get paid whether they're in or not.
Well, they're gonna get paid, but they're not gonna pay as much, and that was not much. But these are the steps for these people who are doing work for your town to be able to be kept or held when they need to be.
My concern is that I feel all the employees in all the departments deserve the same treatment. That's where I am.
Yeah,
I
said
just, I
the
can't,
same.
I
said
don't feel that it's right for us to pick out employees from one department and give them, and I understand that we're coming off probation, and I understand the default budget, you guys had no control over this. It's not that I don't appreciate your service or think you deserve it, because I do. But I just can't justify giving a raise to only 1 or 2 or 6 employees, while the rest of the employees have to abide by that default budget and not receive those raises.
I made that
What I
statement very
would like
clear,
to
very
do
clear.
is
understand
cost.
everything
I'm not done
you're
speaking.
talking.
It
everything
doesn't
you're
just
saying.
have the financial implication of the cost, it has an
Yes.
opportunity cost.
It most
So
certainly
when we
does.
choose to spend money over here, that means these other departments get less.
Oh,
And I
no,
do not
they-
think it's right to
so-
prioritize one department over those others,
So you-
especially with concerns to employees.
You are a person that supposedly pays attention to the budget, right? Yet John puts out every single week on the financial page that essentially where we're at with the budget, right? You know where you-
55.71%
Thank
spent in the budget.
So I do think about the whole town, and let me make it clear so it can be heard. The first thing I said last week was, I think everybody should get a step. The health insurance is drastically affecting the people on your town payrolls. $900 for a crown versus $25 for a crown is a lot to pay. So the small amount, I would say vote to get everybody a step increase. And that's because we need to retain employees. Sometimes the default budget, we're within our means right now. Are we not? Yes, we are. We're 66% to 67% spent, and only 55% spent for the budget. So do you want to pay more money to keep employees, or do you intend to lay them off? I hope not, because we are on a shoestring as it is with the fire department with the 8 people that work there, and you will start a snowball effect of the citizens paying more if we have to start taking money and they have to pay it out of their taxes versus what we're doing. You don't understand my budget. You don't understand the police budget. I'm telling you, we are under budget. The town is under budget. These guys are working their butts off and doing more work than you should be doing in a small department. To tell them no right now, you might as well start right now when we're going to hire new people. And that's not just me saying it, I'm sure the police department saying it. Your husband sat in a meeting with him and said, if my people don't get raises, they're going to leave. We'll give them a raise, we got extra money. We have the money in the budget. So I would hope that Chad would ask for that too.
I did speak to Chad, I went and I saw Chad and I did talk to him. And as far as I'm concerned with the conversation that we had, he did agree that his department, they work very hard and they do deserve that. Also, I will say, we do pay our department heads to do a job. And our department heads do a very good job, in my opinion. I think that if you have that much of a problem with the department head, then it should be dealt with privately. Because we've said a lot about what our fire chief does not do. If there's that much of a problem, then
I
it should be
never
dealt
said I
with.
have a problem with the
You
fire
have a problem with a lot of the stuff that he does. Yes,
No,
you
I
have.
have never said that.
Okay.
If you
Well, we'll
chose
agree to
take it as a
disagree.
personal,
We'll
I
agree
read
to
the
disagree,
merits of the
Kathleen.
proposal,
We'll
and I
agree
like
to
to make
disagree.
factual based
We will
decisions.
agree.
So when I present my budget, it's factual. I go through the numbers, I'm not coming here because I want to line pockets as I'm told you. I'm telling you up front that these guys work hard every day. These two have more responsibilities than they should. And I think that they deserve to get a step raise for getting off probation. That's fair. Fair and consistent, what I've been taught through my whole leadership career. We need to be fair and consistent, and I will say it again. I think fairly, everybody should be looked at for a raise. Does the person who shows up one time a year deserve a raise if they're not putting the effort in? These guys are putting the effort in. We're supposed to have a town review process, which nobody really follows. We should start doing that to give raises. These guys have shown it without even being asked. And all the people that are stepping up right now in my department on the shoestring that we run on are doing it for minimal money. Taylor Belcio takes care of the EMS supplies, and she's going to the hospital on a regular basis to get pickup supplies when she really doesn't have to, if she didn't want to. So I'm asking for you to support them in this time, because we are ahead on the budget, and we've made good decisions that the budget is not overextended to help the poor guys out. Because you guys don't think about it, because it doesn't affect you, but these two right here take health insurance. They're getting hit.
It does affect me, I'm also covered under that health.
Agreed, so you should understand fully.
I do.
Beth, you want to talk?
Actually, I have a question there. So as we move forward through the year, these are approved, and now we start to go over budget. What areas have you looked at that you would, if you need to, cut back?
I do that every day. So there's no areas that I need to look at. I predict my budget. I print the reports on a weekly basis that says where I am in the budget. I spend money appropriately on things I might need or might not need, but we run a service. I can never guarantee you that might go over a little bit. I do my damnedest to make sure I stay within line. I have for the past 3 years. Last year I was under budget by $8,000 after all this stuff was solved. The year before that, I was under budget. So it's my job, you pay me money to do this job to make sure it's fiscally responsible. Ask this one and this one. October 1st, I shut off spending because I want to make sure we're going to make it to the end of the year. That's my job. You pay me to do that. When I say that we have the money to give a raise, and I talk to the town administrator and I look at the budget, I'm not doing it because I just want to throw money at people. If that was the case, I would have asked for every single person in my department to have a raise. I didn't. People who are doing good jobs deserve to be recognized and move forward. Some that don't, they don't need that. Mike Stark said that in the meeting that you guys were all at in the budget hearing when we were going for the 8% raise. I decide who gets that raise. I can do reviews and say that people earn their raise. They could not move a step. I could move them 2 steps if I wanted to. But I'm choosing right now to move them a step to help compensate them for the big changes with health insurance and for what they're doing. And I'm sure that others would echo the same thing because I come here every day, I hear it. I just heard it today. Well, I'm not getting a raise today. Somebody stopped at my station and said, well, I'm not getting a raise. It's out there. If you guys are not paying attention to it, it's complete ignorance to make sure that we take care of our people. We've said it for many years. Every single person in this room that's sitting here besides Laura was at those budget hearings. You heard the same thing for 3 years in a row. If we don't stay up, we're going to lose people that are good employees. And just my math alone on mine is a 4-week orientation to get them into the that's the minimum. It's $10,000 to $18,000. That's not financially responsible. $8,000 for all of them for the year might make them stay where we're not spending $10,000 on one. I'm telling you up front, this many people right now have informed me that they're looking for other jobs. That is half of what we have. If they leave, it's detrimental. Detrimental to your ambulance service, detrimental to what we're going to provide for the citizens because getting them back up to where we need to be, that accumulates to if we don't get out the door, we don't collect all the revenue. Now all that revolving fund that we're doing so well on, guess who starts paying for that? The taxpayer, because we are bound by contracts with that. So when you start talking about this stuff and taking care of our employees, it is a snowball effect that you don't understand. I ask you, and I truly ask you, before you guys are making your judgments, every single one of you, understand how I operate, come down and see me. I've said it 1,000,000 times. Come see me, explain the budget. You sit for the budget process. Explain how we operate, how many people I have on the floor. I got 2 per shift, I only got 8. 2 of those are per diems that could leave any day. If that one leg falls out, you start the snowball rolling. And I'm sure it's the same for the police department, it's the same for the highway department because they all do the work. Why not take care of it?
One more question. Given this bad default budget that we are in, what line or lines would you be retracting this money to put into their salary?
There's no
Gotta
retracting
come
it.
from somewhere.
There's no retracting it. If my budget is underspent, my payroll lines are underspent.
But for transparency,
Yeah.
tax, and for proper due diligence,
That's-
running your accounting lines,
That's the
you know,
fact.
in that manner, shows us, oh, we took it from here and put it here.
But I'm not taking, we have a salary line.
And Sheriff, you have the money in that salary line.
Discuss this, yeah.
My budget is an overall budget and it is underspent. I'm
By how much?
almost
The
60.
salary line itself.
I have to look at that. But I'm telling you,
Chair.
my budget is overall.
Yes.
Move for the
It's
question.
not one line,
Move
it's
for a vote.
overall.
Chief, go ahead.
Move for a vote, please. I can make a motion for,
You want to read these?
what's that?
You want to read these? I think we should do them all.
Do we have, yes.
Oh, I think
Is
you
that
might-
all? Is that fire, police, and highway?
Well, one's a step increase and one's a promotion, so I think.
I'll tell you what, why don't we let Steve Towers speak?
Okay, because we're gonna go across the board, and we're not picking and choosing. We're going across the board, everybody's getting what is due to them.
rabbit hole off the rails a little bit. John, did you get the most recent that I gave you this morning? Okay. Before I even start going over some of the stuff, the most recent little packet you had kind of looks like this. It's got some blue and yellow on it on the front. You have that?
Ours are black and white.
Okay, I'm good.
You got it? All right, never mind. It's coming.
I knew I had them.
All right. So I would just say I'm terrible with Excel. I can do basic summing up, but if there's any questions about some of this stuff, I'd be happy to answer it at any point in time, but it might be a little bit much to go over all right here. The very first page is a wage increase worksheet that I did. It basically shows all of our current police officers, what their current hourly rate is, what their 2025 step increase would have been had they been approved back in April, what the difference is, what it would be per pay period. At the time that I put this together, it was back in July, so it shows 11 pay periods remaining in 2025. And then in 2026, let's say the 2025 was approved, but there was no step increase in 2026, that's what the total would be per officer. If you go down one more line, that is assuming that you get a 2025 step and then you get your 2026 step. Again, it shows the difference, how much per pay period, and then because our steps typically, if granted, come in April, you're only doing April through December, so I added the difference there. Does that make sense? Just for when you take it home and you want to fall asleep looking at it. The next sheet, and I'll go over this far more in depth, just so you know what's happening with our budget, is the SRO breakdown for our school resource officer. That was a grant that we were awarded in 2023, 2024, and that just kind of breaks down each financial and performance period during the school years. We go back to our Juneteenth conversations and went ahead and put together the cost to our department for a holiday, regardless of which one, based on 8-hour shifts, utilizing the 3 lowest paid officers for that day, 1 officer per shift, and then 2 officers per shift, the lowest paid, and then I went 1 officer per shift, 3 highest paid, 2 officers per shift, 6 highest paid, because it could really be anywhere in between depending on who's working that day and how many are on that shift. So I did it based on an 8-hour shift, and then I went ahead and did a 10-hour holiday shift and what that would look like. So again, that's just for you to look at if you feel like it. And then the very last page is something I found in Stark's bag of goodies he left me. It was just 2025 pay steps that he had put together for April of 2025. This is based off of that. Everything below Wilcox, I couldn't follow it. I don't expect you to. You can just cross it off, or if you figure it out, please let me know. So that's what that packet is, just for you to look at. The things that I was going to talk to you about tonight, there was 5 things. I talked to John this morning, said to keep it brief. I'll try. For the next budget, I'm going to be pushing for a 4-hour court minimum. If you've all had the chance to read through the original packet that went out, I don't know if you read that. Yes? No. We range anywhere from 21 minutes, 12 miles, to 59 minutes, 43 miles, and oftentimes those court days come on someone's day off, so we're pretty much hamstrings and they're home all day, they're waiting for court. Often they're 2 hours in before they even get to court. By the time they drive in, get dressed, grab their stuff, go to court. And where everybody's around is 2, 3, 4 hours, I would shoot for the 4-hour minimum on that. Special duty rate, I'm going to be increasing that as well to be in line with the other officers. After your original packet went out, I spoke to Chief Gaskell and Pembroke. They just went to $105 per hour total. 70 to the officer, 25 to admin, and 10 to the cruiser.
Can you take a minute and explain what that's all about?
Yes.
What that 105 represents?
So Eversource needs a 4-hour detail because they're going to be in the middle of 28 and they need an officer with a cruiser with lights and cones and maybe it's out of one lane, maybe not, whatever. So that's just our detail rate. So it could be tree service, it could be Bearbrook wedding because it's over so many people and they have alcohol. Anytime there's a detail, this is what the hourly wage would be to that entity. Okay? 70 goes, well, for us right now, we are at $85 per hour.
That's what you're charging them.
That's what we charge them. So when Eversource says, I need a 4-hour detail, it's $240 for that hour. The breakdown is 60 goes to the officer. We used to do $15 to admin, but right now we use Extra Duty Solutions for all of our details. They manage all of our details. Someone needs it, they go to them. We pay them, no, they pay us the detail, and then they go find the money to get themselves reimbursed. And then we still keep $7.27 that goes into our revolving fund. Basically, not having to do too much. And then $10 to the future.
So the
Yep.
extra duty solutions, what is that, service that's?
The service, they do schedules, they do all kinds of stuff. That's one of the people we met at the last IACP conference, I think out in San Diego. They're nationwide, they've got thousands of agencies that utilize them. It just takes the burden off of our admin spending hours trying to figure out, okay, who's next in line? We give them all the parameters, like I'm the last one in the pecking order. So if I want a detail and someone else slides in behind me, they get it. So you set up all these things and then that's how they manage it and put it out. And it's based on points, so every quarter you reset your points. That way someone doesn't grab every summer detail
Oh.
and then everything in winter,
Yeah,
someone else.
oh, yeah, somebody else's reason.
So that's how that works. They get, it looks like just about 50% of our admin fee and the rest of it stays with us.
So what could be an impact or impacts if the rate, if we increase the rate? Right now, we're telling our vendors, 105.
I don't think it's going to have any impact because if you look at all the towns around us, it's the going rate. We're just $10 to $20 behind everybody else right now. So, yeah. So again, we're at 85 total per hour. Pembroke just went to 105. Hooksett is 77 per hour, but they're going to be going up to 70 to the officer. Canterbury and Loudon are 65 to the officer. Epsom is 70. Chichester 70. Bow is 70. Bow pays $90 to the officer if it's on holiday, so that's what we do with that. End of probation increases, step increases. When you asked a couple weeks ago, in my head I thought Ashlyn was December. She's actually January, end of year probation. But before Stark left, he had all 3 of our new officers slated to go to this next step. Technically, one is due January, one is due March, one is due April. That is a huge increase for them, and I don't think we can not do it. It's almost $250 an hour, and they have been through a full background check, the PT test, the psych exam, the polygraph, to ask the most intimate question you could possibly imagine. The scrutiny that they have to go through. If you look at the little chart I gave you here, this is a little bit on the high side. Pre-academy could be up to 6 weeks. The academy is 16 weeks now. It used to be 12, it was 14, now it's 16. Post-academy is 12 weeks. Uniforms up to 1,500. Our new ballistics vests are 1,200. The medical exam is around 150. The psych exam has jumped up to 450 from 400. The poly has been consistently 300. So each officer, just to get them through the academy and off FTOs, around $37,000. That does not include health benefits, fringe benefits, or anything like that. So it's a lot of money for all 3 of those officers. If it's over $111,000, and they can't touch a call. They can't go on a call by themselves. They can answer the phone and ask someone else what to do. They need to have a field training officer with them. So With that, you're now paying somebody else to cover those shifts because they're not ready to be on the road yet. So our overtime has skyrocketed this year.
Do you have a question on
Yes,
that?
please.
So is that because they haven't been officially moved up that step?
Correct. Yep, it's to make sure, yep, so that field training is just to make sure that everything they learned in the academy, all of the in-house stuff that they need to learn, they need to go through those 3 months. At the end of those 3 months, we then say, the FTO manager, which me, was determine whether or not they're ready to then take their own shift on their own. Like being a cruiser by themselves without someone sitting next to them.
So, just so I understand,
Yep.
is it they get bumped up and then they go through some additional training? Or is this all training that has to happen before they get bumped up?
This all gets-
111,000.
Yep, this typically it's as soon as they get off of this. Like I said, I don't know why start put in for April unless it was part of the MRI study that said that's where they should start. I haven't talked to him about it, but I know he was ready to do that back in April, and then it was like, no
Once they're
steps. So,
off probation, then they go through.
no, he had it effective April to bump up to this new rate.
I'm just wondering, is there going to be additional costs because we're besides the salary increase, because we're taking them off of probation? I'm not sure I understand when this training takes place.
Oh, this is all all salary. This is all out of our regular salary line. From the moment we give them that first day on the job, it's all out of just our regular control officer salary.
And where are you with your salary line now? What percentage of your spend will you receive? Well, the year with that?
I'll be able to answer that question
Okay.
the further I
Okay.
go, but
Fine.
yeah, it'll make
And I
more
can get
sense
them.
when I get to the end. Support staff, where is it?
Could you have it prepared for further down?
Well, I do, but I'm almost there now.
Okay.
I might as well keep going. Full-time salaries, we were at, well, we're probably a little bit above this because we added in 2 payrolls that have not posted yet. And without those 2 payrolls, we're at 59.46% in the regular salary line. But I'll make it all make more sense towards you. So, as of August 22nd, there's roughly 8.5 pay periods left. So to give those 3 officers, if we were to give it to them now, as the previous chief had them slated for in April, it would cost $5,018 from now to the end of this year.
Not going back.
Not going back, not retro.
What's the retro?
I haven't figured it out because it's not going to be in our budget. I know that already.
I see here, Alliance says they're currently over by 1.3% or 15,168. Is that the total budget, not the salary?
Total budget. Yep. So that's those 3 officers. I do sincerely feel that if they don't get that bump, they go through the same amount of training as Concord, Manchester, Hooksett, everybody else. And if we don't stay competitive with that, they're just gonna leave. And you can see it costs $111,000 to replace them again without, that could be 8 to 9 months that we're now paying overtime again. And like I said, our overtime is not. So, any more questions on that?
So you
For
said
those
you
three.
cannot absorb going retro.
Retro, not, no. I'll get to it. There's been some, I'll explain.
So
I'll get there.
if they are given the pay increase, but not retro, they would be okay with that?
Yes, because so far they've got enough.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
I hate
I
to
know.
shortchange employees, I really do.
I understand, but
It's just, okay,
um,
you know that.
any other questions on those 3? No.
Just like to answer Trish's question, sorry. to
Yes,
interrupt you,
you're
but only 53% spent, 128,000 for my salary line, so
tonight. Lieutenant promotion, this is something that I needed. Right now, we've got 2 sergeants that I think are very worthy of at least applying and hopefully moving up through the ranks. They've been here many, many years. They've taken on a lot of extra tasks. They're doing a lot of extra overtime. They're covering the roads a lot right now. But there's stuff that I need to get off of my plate as well. I'm still doing all vehicle purchases, doing all the FTO, field training, management, all the training, all the equipment, investigations, disciplinary stuff. Like, there's a lot that I can give out so that I can continue to do more of this stuff without scrambling. I gave you, again, the chat GPT, just in the interest of time and an argument, all the pros and cons. I think that they are absolutely deserving. And that impacts, again, if we go to the back, my hope would be to have someone hired in that position by November 1st of this year. That would only leave 4.5 pay periods left for 2025. So the impact of that would be $975 to get a lieutenant in place for the end of this year, from November and all December. They're going to need time to study and get themselves prepared, so that's why I came up with a 4.5 pay period time frame for now. Any questions on that?
Next position, that's the fund budget.
That's we've had that, that's my position. I haven't backfilled my own position, basically, essentially. So, that one's there. All right, my administrative assistant, I don't know how many of you have met Jessica Tangway, but she is amazing. And not just, as a person, yeah, she's phenomenal. Chief Stark always said that she was the best hire he ever did. Everybody else kind of took offense. Yeah, I know, right? But he wasn't wrong. She does everything. She has got a background in accounting, background in finance. She's been integral in helping me go over all these numbers. She number crunches every single day. She prints out my entire ledger every other day, goes through. She knows exactly what invoices haven't been posted, which ones have, what payrolls are missing. She does everything. She's taken on so many more added responsibilities than our original administrative assistant job description. We're doing a lot of grants now. Our former secretary was never a grant manager. She didn't do any of that stuff. Jessica does. We're going through the New Hampshire accreditation process, which is it goes on and on year after year after year. It's not like a one and done thing. She's the manager for that. And that job description alone could be a full-time position. If I put something in here, I got to be sure that if I want her to do something, I'm 100% positive, because the second I give it to her, before I get to my desk, she's taking care of it. She was worth her weight in gold, and she was slated to get a significant bump to reflect the amount of work she does and just how good she is at her job with those added responsibilities. So without rehiring our evening administrative secretary, she was making $423 a week at her hourly wage at 20 hours a week. Yeah.
It's not a lot of money.
No, it isn't. It was 20 hours.
Yeah.
Giving Jessica the raise that I sincerely believe she deserves, we would be paying her $159.60 a week. So, subtract, we're actually saving money there. But I wouldn't, we right now don't have a need for an evening secretary because of how good she is during the day. That too, event flyers. See, I just keep adding to the list. And again, full transparency, I said, Trish, all of the pros for granting under default and all of the cons and reasons not to grant under default. The default is not lost on me. I do understand it. I do get it. I do know what the implications are. I just feel like this committee needs to decide which one is going to have the most negative impact, or what's the lesser of the two evils. I do think we will lose people. If we go to 2026 and don't get another raise, we're going to be 2 steps behind, and we're going to lose everybody. I don't think that's the direction that we want our department to go in. We have a lot of longevity now, which So, the current status of our budget. Does anybody have any questions about the other stuff before I move on?
Question under the SRO, the
Oh.
school resource officer. Have you been approved for that going out and just haven't received the funding, or is that still in the works? What's the status of that?
That is the entire end of my presentation. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so, can we hold off for like 2 minutes? Maybe 5? Okay, I'm almost done.
Okay, no worries.
All right, so as of today, August 25th, again, Jessica went through and she adjusted our entire budget. We are over by 0.84%, which is roughly $8,589 as of today. However, $15,488, that was put back into our, sent back to the 2024 budget because it was stuff that was charged 2025 that should have been in 2024. That's something we had fixed. That brought us down to the 8,500. We had a lot of expenses that should absolutely not occur in 2026, one being the SRO. That is the biggest one. We had other one-time supplies, some pretty significant unanticipated expenses that I can't talk about in public session, but the biggest one being our school resource officer. So we were granted that grant, cops hiring grant, in 2023. We didn't put Officer Campbell into the SRO position until the spring of 2024. We have got 5 years to use the SRO for 3 years. Okay, so in 5 years, we have to use it for 3. At the end of that 3 years, we have to fund fully that position for a minimum of 12 months. So that's coming. However, 75% of the grant is supposed to be paid by the grant, 25% from the police department. We budgeted 16,000. 16,000 is almost exactly 25% of the SRO's whole salary, 12 months, which means for 3 months or whatever, we didn't budget for that. It just wasn't budgeted for. We're actually paying 48% when you consider he was coming in and working 3 to 7 a.m. to cover the midnight shift, then he'd go to school, then he'd sometimes come back and work till 9 to help cover evening shifts. All of that was paid through the PD salary, because the grant only covered 75% of the time he was actually in the school, not his entire salary. So, it is what it is, we can't change it, but the problem we've had is since we were granted this grant, not 1 penny has come to us. This entire 2024 and all of 2024-25 has come out of our salary line.
Are there reporting requirements on our payment?
Oh, yes, you nailed it. There were 2 out of 5 financial reports that had been submitted and 2 out of 5 performance reports that had been submitted. Last week, I was able to get the last 3 performance reports for last year all submitted. They're now in the review process. I have been trying to get in touch with DOJ Finance for 2 months, like the middle of June, to figure out how to fill out these financial forms, because it's like Greek to me when I look at them. They're government forms. We actually have a Zoom meeting set up for this Wednesday. I already have, give it to you? Yes, I did. I already gave you the, in that packet, the SRO breakdown, so it shows 75% of the grant PD portion, health insurance, and New Hampshire retirement, and what it is for each quarter. So they're going to get all this. I'm going to plug everything in, and then once all the finance and performance reports are submitted and approved, then we can go into ASAP and start requesting the money back. Once that happens, let's see, where is it? 7,400 plus should go back into the 2024 budget, and 32,576 and change should go back into the 2025 budget.
So that would put your overall budget under that. Right now, it looks like you're over above what you received those.
Correct. So, at the end of the day, when you figure all that in, assuming that that actually happens before the end of the year, which I'm going to stress that it should, we would be at $15,366 under budget. I don't have a percentage, but that's the step increases, including the probationary and everyone in our department on this front sheet, excluding myself, obviously. We would be under by just under 4,000. It's not a lot of wiggle room, and a lot can happen, I understand that. You have an engine blow up on a cruiser, you get the unanticipated things, I can't predict it. If that were to happen, and if this were to go through, if the overall town budget would allow us to absorb whatever we went over, that's what I would ask for, but this is where I'm at right now. I feel like I've been kind of backpedaling ever since I sat in that seat, trying to figure stuff out. This is where we're at right now. Any other questions?
I don't, but I appreciate your understanding the position that we're in. I really appreciate you showing the pros and cons, acknowledging the fact that there is still a significant amount of year left.
Thank you.
Thanks,
For being very thorough. Did you mention that you had something for the highway department as well in your packet?
I did not hear. I did talk to Chad. He knew that you were looking for information, but I did not hear from him. Correct.
Do we want to?
I have a
Do we want to
question.
put these through like fire department and then police department?
These are the PD.
Separately? I don't want the motion to be really complicated.
Can I ask what the total is going to be of all of this?
For us. Yours was,
Mine's $8,400, it's on the spreadsheet. That's for the year, that's not even the count pay.
right,
Last
that's,
half of the year, we're talking about a third of the year. And
How
I
far back
actually-
you go with that, chief?
Well, if we go back to their probationary dates, which was May 28th, February is when Melissa stepped down and Ron Taylor stepped in, so if we said March 1st for town vote, that's about when they started doing it. Jared has AEMT for since last fall, so obviously that's an issue that you can't handle it. The other ones are probationary schools. To your point, I guess it would be the anniversary dates, and the first of the year for Jared. And John Overbrook. That's effective dates. And even that is below the 8,000 when I predicted that for next year, because I'm thinking next year, not just this year. That's
Right.
what those would cost the town. So probably lower than that. I'm thinking around the $6,000 range when I do math.
So 8,000 was for a full year.
Full year, yes.
So I do want to ask, we're considering this only for police and fire right now. We don't have any highway, the other departments, what if they come forward, the next meeting or something?
that will go
Try
into
to
next
consider
year.
them separately and not.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we need figures from Chad.
Yeah, and honestly, I look at it per department, you've heard me say over and over again, your lines are down, your lines are down. It's not robbing from here over here at all. So, I have no problem with considering them separately.
Again, I mean, I think, as far as the employees and their pay schedules and step increases and, promotions and, ending, their probationary periods. I mean, I'm a firm believer, I always have been, probably because I managed so many people. The fight I never minded fighting was going to get decent money for my people. Because first of all, everybody works hard, economics is economics, if they're not making enough money in one town to make ends meet, they're gonna go someplace else, and then we become donors to other towns. Fire, police, highway, other towns are happy to take our people because they're fully trained and it's a win-win for them,
We've been doing that.
right? And so that's what, we don't wanna become a donor town because we're not paying our people enough. And I know we're under default budget, but the employees shouldn't bear the brunt of a default budget. That's just me.
Unfortunately, they do though, and my concern is, we'll approve these raises, but I know that there's gonna be backlash. And what happens when we go default budget again, and then we have to cut positions? Like, so we can do this, absolutely, but you need to be aware that there's a very real chance that people may lose their jobs as a result. So I get it, that we don't
Yeah.
wanna lose people because they're gonna leave and go someplace else, but if the taxpayers do not keep giving us the money that we need, and I don't think they're going to,
Well,
departments will end up saying.
Kathleen, you keep saying that, they won't.
first of all,
Why do
And
we
they
keep
think-
saying I'm worried about a default
They
for next
say it
year?
themselves.
You say it themselves.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They're not putting
It's
words
not
in their
just
mouth.
me.
They
I
say it
know,
themselves.
I think the way I look at it, it's our job to promote the town and to, bring the town to the next level. We were on really good trajectories, I think, with all the departments. And it's our job to convince people that it's important to invest in their own community. We hear people, they come in here, their tax bills, and I know, I'm a taxpayer too, believe me, my taxes are almost $9,000. And, they come in and it's like, we can't afford these taxes. Well, maybe the reason we can't afford those taxes is because everything else is gone up. You don't go screaming at the manager at Market Basket saying, hey, I'm only paying the $80 for these $100 groceries,
And we can't
right?
afford
Insurance is going up, cars going up. I mean, everything, mortgage payments are going up. I mean, everything is going up. And for some reason, people just say, we can't, it's our community, we're not investing in.
And we
Right,
also
and
pay
we
for the
do.
school as well.
That's
That's
right.
included in
We've
our
got-
taxes as
Yeah,
well.
we've got
That's
schools
sometimes
as
it's
well. I
part of our
totally
system.
get it. But I think we need to, convince people how important it is to invest in their own community. That seems to be what, they don't do, what they don't want to do, what's too expensive, but it's like everything else is too.
And I think it's also important to show the people that work in our town that we value what they do and who they are and what they do for our community. Because contrary to belief, we have very good services in our town besides trash. And they deserve their sacrifices to show them that we value what they are.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. Moving forward with pay increases, we do have to know that somewhere down the line, we're going to be saying no to other things because we can't keep saying yes to the default budget. We will put ourselves in an illegal position that will cost the town more money than just, we doled out more than our default budget will be wrong. So that's one thought we have to be conscious of that.
Jump now.
This discussion is wonderful, but you don't have a motion and you don't have a second. You're putting the discussion before the motion. So you're talking about things that you're not even voting on yet.
Okay, I do want to ask one question before a motion though, because
Well,
the PD is
You're
asking
asking them all
for,
separately, so.
but
So
the
it's hard to
PD
have
is
that
asking for step
But you
increases, but
you
the
still
fire
have to have a
department is
motion.
only asking for a motion.
No. Steps, promotions, and probation, right?
The steps are for probation, the steps are for their work. One is for certification, and the other one is a promotional step because he's been moved up, or needs to be moved up to be able to manage an area that I can.
So that's your
If-
select view of your employees,
So we
right?
need to move the question to make a motion so that we can have a discussion. and
if
then
I can
vote on it.
help out by making a recommendation to the board, a board member could take the packet for the fire department individually, read the names off with the rationale of why the increase is going up for the minutes, so that each individual is taken separately, then vote on it. So you're voting on one packet of all the people.
Beth, are you looking to do something for every employee in your department? Is this include every
What
employee?
I proposed was for the top down, all the top, but,
Thank you.
right. So I will read off in the motion the person's name, then this is the new rate, right?
Yes.
What should the,
There should be a description right there, the reason.
for the firefighter advanced EMT.
Nope, down in the middle section, right there.
New status. Okay, so there's a new status. So firefighter AEMT EMS supply coordinator. Okay. Okay, and the new rate. I can go through these. Okay. Does this have to be a separate motion? This is my husband's in for,
Well, you can let someone else make that motion. Give it to Kathleen if she wants.
okay, let me do the staff. All right. So I make a motion that the following members of the fire department be given pay increases, and I will read them individually, including the name, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Taylor Lucido. Current position, per diem firefighter against EMT, going from a salary of $23.99 to $24.47.
And we have the reason.
Oh, I'm sorry. Reason is new position title is firefighter AEMT EMS supply coordinator.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, she also writes the grants,
Yes.
and she's been very successful with it.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Ryan Dignan,
That's a motion that
current position per diem firefighter advanced EMT, going from $23.99 to $28.82, and the change is per diem lieutenant AEMT instructor to hazmat technician state instructor. That's what I'm really funny. Next person, Jerry Pierce, per diem firefighter EMT, going from a salary of $22.16 to $24.02. The new position is per diem firefighter advanced EMT and attained AEMT. Next person, Tyler Thornton, currently per diem firefighter paramedic, hourly rate $22.16, going to $24.45.
due to certification error.
Okay, Eric correction, paramedic, oh, not EMT,
No, we had two tallies for going in, and they both are the same rate.
Oh.
It's a paramedic, the other's basic, so it's a different rate.
This one is the paramedic, not this.
Paramedic,
Yes,
paramedic.
paramedic, okay. Next person, Joseph Wood, current full-time lieutenant AEMT, current salary $27.15, going to $27.70, finished probation. Next person, John Sattarelli, full-time lieutenant EMT, current rate is $26.16, going to $26.62, full-time lieutenant EMT. Hugo Serrano, currently full-time firefighter EMT, current rate of $22.91, going to $23.55, full-time firefighter EMT. Nathan Ducharme, currently full-time lieutenant AEMT, rate is currently $27.15, moving to $27.70, and finished probation is the reason. Okay, so,
Cludier Brown.
Huh?
Cludier Brown.
Those were living students that were approved last week. Clear
Thank you.
Brown and H. Chang from us.
So that was a motion on all those.
this is the motion on all of these.
No, because Diane can't go on this one.
I want to clarify, so these are steps retro to when their step took place, right?
Yes.
Probation, when their probation ended, and promotions just go forward. No retro on promotions. Okay.
On the promotion, does that mean a vacancy somewhere, or is that just promotion because their job and it's helping the
If he moves up, most likely there's going to be a
We don't have a second yet. We have a motion on, oh, you did, thank you.
Yes.
Questions? No questions?
So these are exceptions to the hiring freeze that we.
No,
These are
Or
existing.
these,
no, those are existing.
They're all existing.
Yeah.
So it's not really people, if he were to fill the
you feel that.
position as a
That's-
secretary.
One more questions? All in favor?
Trish, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Diane, aye?
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Thank you.
We don't have to sign anything.
Scott signs them all. Eric, you'll need to fill in the effective date on all of those. You can
And
do that after.
I'll make the next motion for Ron Adenolfo, on-call advanced EMT, currently making $20.19, to be moved up to $22.61 for a promotion.
The second.
All in favor?
Trish, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Laura abstains.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry?
Say Laura abstains.
Scott, aye. Go.
So it's 401. You didn't vote?
No, I abstain.
401. I mean, yes.
4-0, right?
4 and I, 0 no, 1 abstention.
Oh, right. Keeps us straight.
Yeah, this is what I, yeah. So, that's different than just working that fire. That's
There are
right.
a few that she For this one, I know that you proposed for all of your employees, but you said you had 3 that were coming off probation.
So
Who are the 3?
the 3 are Levine, Susie, and Glover.
Okay.
So that one,
So I'm just gonna tell you right now, and I would prefer if we bring these up. I mean, I know that you guys are gonna go for them anyway, but I would vote just the same way that the fire department did. Again, in fairness to everybody, that all the town hall employees aren't getting raises. The probationary period, change in certification makes sense to me in the default year, but to give them across the board when we didn't to the fire department and we most likely won't to the other departments. I do understand that you're having a tough time in retaining help and I know that the decrease in benefits, but again, I just can't do for one
Yes.
what I would do personally. So I would just request that. They do those, yeah, that
Do
we
one
do those
separate?
3,
So
the
do it.
Levine, the Susie, and Glover separate from the rest of them.
Should be the last 3.
last 3 on that very,
And then do we need to go to release the hiring freeze so that you can fill your lieutenant position?
I would like that.
I think that Glover, let's put that out.
Susie and Levine, Susie, Glover. And so, shall we, so whatever, yeah.
So-
make a motion to what?
So in those, Beth put the change down at the bottom in the
Okay.
comment. That's where you're going to look.
Okay.
Jessica did it.
I gave you credit.
Yes, I did. Jessica did it.
It was done that way. I'll put it that way.
Well, those 3 are,
These 3 and
yes,
these.
those 3, because those 3 are off our probation.
I make a motion
And that's because of Lindsay.
Yep, step increase to P-2 mil COLA.
Due to coming off of probation. We wanted to reason.
Okay, due to coming off probation, good. Okay. Alyssa Susie, coming off probation, step increase, starting at 2470 to go to 2716. Coming off probation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I need to say this. They're technically not coming off probation until January, March, and April of 2026. These were put in by START. What I believe was because that was the new recommendation for their, like, to their START pay, because they started.
They're not lying like the others.
So they're not in
With the
line,
steps.
so this is actually, they're coming up on their step, their end of probation for, which would be 2026, like next year. But this here is where Chief Stark can put in to bring them in line with, they got hired. This is where the recommendation be that they start. They haven't been there. So I think I want to clarify
So
that.
this is not due to probation, this is to
No.
get them to where,
Get them to where they need to be
Step
prior
increase.
to, yes.
so this is merely a step increase, you'll come back with probation.
Yes.
Because they completed.
I'm sorry, I thought I made that clear when I
No,
was talking.
I did not. I thought they were coming off probation.
Yeah. No, so-
Yeah.
So here's where there's probably some confusion. They did just graduate from the academy.
Okay, so
So
that's
they've
why.
gone through 75% of the steps. They just need to get off of their field training, and they're good to go.
So there, can we phrase it that they completed field training? Is that? or
They've completed the academy, they've been hired, they've gone through all the academy. They are now certified.
So they're- so
officers.
we
Because
still
they're
need
certified
to-
officers.
Certifications,
There you
they've
go.
grown, they've
Certification.
grown.
Certification.
To
So
increase
it's
the
still
value.
step increase.
Okay, okay.
But
Yes.
for the reason is
Certification.
just different.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've achieved certification.
So the reason is what? They've achieved certification.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you for that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I will reread these. I make a motion for Ashley Levine to get a step increase for achieving certification. Current 2470 to increase to 2716. Alyssa Susie, step increase, also achieving certification. Current 2470 to go to 2716 per hour. Jacob Glover, step increase and achieving certification. Current 2470 going to 2716. Second.
Questions, discussion? All in favor?
Tricia.
Kathleen, aye.
Diane, aye. Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
What's each one? Lisa's. All right, I'm just gonna, those are just.
Just these three.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, just those three.
Okay.
So Louise, can I read this whole thing? The
Is
numbers
there
are
like
lit.
another category that 2 or 3 are in? Or? No, so the Bowen and Wilcox will be up for promotion. As of November 1st, if approved, they will hire employees. So all of these would be stepped to keep them current, so they don't fall behind the 2 steps. All of these, all steps.
Okay, so just step increases. Okay, these are just steps.
Yeah.
All right. I make a motion for Brian Wilcox for a step increase, current 3824 to go to $39.
We're doing individual votes?
Are we doing them all?
I think these ones all together, they're all just
Yeah,
steps, they're
steps.
not due to
Altogether.
certification or anything.
Okay.
Michael Bowen for a step increase, current $38.24, going to $39 per hour. Jessica Tangway, step increase. Oh, yes?
Maybe that one's separate, she's an officer.
Okay.
Yep, and same with Jennifer Chase, she's a prosecutor. All sworn, you know.
Okay. Hannah Higgins. All right. Hannah Higgins, step increase going from, current 32.71, going to 33.70 per hour. Nathan Campbell, step increase, current 29.94, going to $30.84 per hour. Eric Patton, step increase, current 29.94, going to $30.84 per hour. And Timothy Vincent, step increase, 35.06 an hour current, going to 35.76 per hour.
All in favor? Let's start questions. I'm sorry. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Kathleen, no.
Diane, aye.
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Last two separately, please.
Left separately? Yeah. All right, so this one is salary, so I'm gonna read, there's a whole thing at the bottom, so I'll just read the whole thing. I make a motion for Jennifer Chase, prosecutor. Am I reading the salary or just the? So this is the increase, or should I say, oh, this is the.
Bless you.
So basically, that and that. So this and this, yes. So. So remember this a little bit about, can I have that? Yes. Okay. Okay. So I make a motion for Jessica Tangway. Current step increase to G11 to account for new duties, no COLA. Current 26.48, going to 30.47.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, aye.
Diane, aye. Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Before we move on from the wage management, we're still on that. As we move forward, as Trish pointed out last week, with me not moving into the full-time chief, part of the other proposal was to restructuring of the department to make sure we can get things done. I will be working on that as we move forward for a proposal. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll have an idea of what that looks like. So you guys go ahead.
Okay. I guess we'll go to the next item, which is the newest draft in Board of Selectmen ethics policy. All right, Mike.
So I did read it. I understand the whole committee thing. I was just really confused because it wasn't lining up and we didn't have it, we couldn't find it on there. So I was like, my God, what's going on? I like all of it. I just wrote a few notes here just to remind myself. So we have a conflict of interest. So we go to inquiries, and my only thing that I have a question on, let's say we have a question about ethics, whether it be voting for family members, things in our board sessions. Because I feel in a small town, nobody wants to do this job. In my opinion, it's very hard and people get kind of scared to do it. So I feel like we're always going to have family members, we're always going to have, you know, a little bit of conflict with some of the discussions that we have. It's happened, it's happening, whatever. So I understand if a citizen comes up with a complaint or a question on what we vote on ethically, and we would discuss it as a board if I'm reading these right, and then we would decide if we thought it was ethical or unethical if we vote on it. Is that correct? Just a little bit more
So
explanation.
we spent 4 months meeting with the lawyers about this.
Okay.
They looked at it, they met with us in non-public, those minutes were not sealed, but I'm sure they were very sparse. Any revisions went before them, they approved the revisions before they came in. Part of their explanation is we decided to keep the term in there for elected officials because we should be acting ethically. And we kept all of the definitions and the terms, and we hope that all of us will abide by those. But what the lawyer explained, the reason we took the committee out is technically it's not enforceable. The BOS are the only ones who can decide for themselves if it's ethical or unethical. So you may pay the price when it comes to voters. Voters can vote well if you feel you're behaving unethically. But even us as board members, we couldn't stop another board member. So that where the ethics policy really comes into play is any hired and appointed officials are beholden to that. But any elected officials technically are not. There could be concerns brought, someone could watch and go to the court.
Okay.
But that would be the court's decision. Again, it would be, I couldn't make you resign. I couldn't cause any punitive action to be taken against you as a board member because I felt you were behaving unethically.
And outside of voting and potential lawsuit, the resident can't do that.
Okay.
Prove that residence.
I mean, that was really the only biggest discrepancy. And, you know, if we had a problem with each other as far as.
Okay, so they still need to vote.
If I thought we were doing something unethically,
Okay. And I don't.
how we resolve that, obviously, we have to,
Good.
we have to decide.
You could certainly bring it up in the meeting. We're all public officials per se. I feel like tonight, earlier I asked Diane if she was going to vote. I thought that her husband was part of the union. So in the meeting I said, should you be voting? And right away she was able to say no.
Or like me with the chief position for him and like.
Yes, yeah. So it can be talked about and discussed, but at the end of the day, you are an elected representative, elected by the people. We can't make you do or not do anything. That's up to you. You have to use your own personal integrity.
And I can vouch for Catherine that the lawyers did show me that.
It's all set, yeah, so it represents an 88-cent an hour increase, so the numbers on there, right, it's different because it's salary number versus the hourly, but you're basically going from, if it were hourly, $44.25 to $45.13, difference in 88 cents.
But it's just a step, it's not, you didn't achieve certification or anything
Nope,
like that.
that's just the prosecutor's step.
She is a salary.
She is salary, there, so there's
That
actual
shows
salaries
before
on
and
there.
after salary.
What's that?
It shows the before and after salary.
Oh, that should be, yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry I didn't write that down, Beth. What was the before hourly rate?
Just when she thought she was
Right
done.
here. Oh, you want the hour? Oh, she's salary.
44.25.
Yeah, she's salary.
So you want to,
It's much easier.
But because they're salary, you would use the salary.
Mhm.
44.25 times 80 times 26 equals the top number.
Okay. I move that our prosecutor, Jennifer Chase, be given a step increase from $92,040 per year to $93,870.40 per year. This is a step increase
try that again? You were tied. I'll give.
All in favor?
Trish, no. Kathleen, no.
Diane,
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye. All right. Okay, back to the ethics.
Yeah, actually, ethics policy and all that.
What's the magic wrong?
Well, I wonder, do we need to do anything with that? Because the ethics policy said it wasn't previously signed, but our vote was sufficient. Is that right? Is that what I understood?
So if you're not going to change anything to what you vote on tonight, then I can send it out electronically for you to sign if you're not making any changes.
Yeah. So we can just
Because
add
I
this
didn't bring a printed copy because I have no idea what you're going to do tonight.
No,
that's the ethics policy?
Yeah.
Can you send it to me so I can put it on the record?
Yes.
Everything else I'd like to say.
So just to be
I appreciate that.
Just to be clear, you folks are voting on the ethics policy that you last worked
We're
on?
not voting on it, we already voted.
I mean, not vote on
We
it.
just need to
Just
sign
sign
it.
it.
Yeah.
So I just need to be clear on which version.
The latest version, the one that was just passed in June of 2024.
So the one you
Yes.
pointed me to.
Yeah, and that email.
So we're going to reformat it
Yeah,
and
just
then send it out electronically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless somebody does want to make a motion to make any changes to that.
All right.
What's the check, return check?
Yep, return check policy and the petty cash fund policy. You understand?
So well, actually, John provided them to me, the return check policy, I think we talked about it last meeting. So that's now on the new format, like everything else within table of contents and all that, just as he sent it to me. And then, I think, John, you said the petty cash policy thing was the result of an audit?
DRA came in as they do yearly, and that was one policy they wanted to see in our office. I could not find one, so I borrowed and put one together for what we're doing now, and that's what you saw.
That's what I pasted right in.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen
Yeah.
it in the past, and it
because
had
I had-
uses
Yeah, I
listed.
had to
Couldn't
follow
find it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Probably in that big folder, but
So,
it's probably,
But if
you
you've
put
got
it on there anyway.
You've got another one?
Well, that doesn't, I read through that, the one you sent us. It says what it's not for, but it doesn't say really what it could be for. Which I remember the one that we had in the past specifically listed out, up to a specific amount that could be reimbursed to an employee.
And it had the
Purchase.
steps, when they made the purchase and put in the receipts, it included that they needed to put the line,
Yeah.
the department, it needed to be initial, like, it was pretty controlled.
Very,
Yeah.
It was recommended not to put that portion in. I know many towns do use their petty cash as a cash flow in and out by department heads, but that was recommended not to do, just to leave it isolated. Pardon?
I'm not sure what it would be used for, based on what I read in that policy, I saw what it could be not used for, but I didn't see what it could be.
The petty cash currently is just to make change in the town clerk office.
So are you talking about the balance in her clerk and cash drawer?
Yeah.
No, we had separate
No.
petty cash, yeah, there should be an envelope, there was an envelope underneath that tray that usually had about, I think $50 or
It was
maybe
$100, yeah.
And every now and then, I would have to go through the receipts. Department heads, maybe if they needed a stamp, I mean, we have our postage meter, but there were times I think that Dee Dee needed a plate, they would go.
I
out
think
and
she
get it.
counts all of her funds, and there's one total of the fund that she keeps in all of her cash.
I don't think she should be mixing actual petty cash with that, with those two drawers.
There isn't any petty cash for use with department heads anymore.
Okay, so
With
this
this-
mixes petty cash, but it's
Correct.
raising her drawer balance. as
Right,
petty
and
cash.
I list that amount in the policy.
Okay,
It's $450.
okay.
But there isn't any more department head using cash on hand, handing in a receipt That's not
Okay.
available anymore.
Could we change the
Yeah.
title of it maybe
Right.
to town clerk, tax collector, drawer?
Yeah.
cash?
Well, DRA wants to see a petty cash
Okay,
policy.
okay.
And they're calling that fund petty cash.
As long as in terms with what they, the
Yeah.
funds they use, I was thinking we could.
I'm going by what they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
What they
makes
want
sense.
to be their minimum.
Yep.
Other
Their
towns have town clerk, they might have transfer station, they might have police department. All of these departments, fire department might have petty cash amounts.
Which is really their drawer.
Correct. But that's a lot of accounting, that's a lot of liability out there with amounts of cash. This way, it's all centralized, it's for one purpose only, to make change for residents when they come in.
Perfect. All right, that works for me. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Diane, go ahead.
I make a motion to accept and approve procedure for return check policy, being POL, which means policy, Board BOS, Board of Selectmen, 01, document to cover, obviously, the process for when bad checks are returned to the town. The second document is another policy for petty cash fund. POL for policy, Board of Selectmen, BOS, 02, this is the second document, to define how we handle petty cash as a result of,
Effective today.
well, it'll be effective today upon signatures on the document.
I'm sending
You're seconding both?
All in favor? Yes.
Oh, you're all signing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it back to the start. Yes, I guess.
Trish, aye.
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Aye.
25th.
right. You got the second, right, not the first.
Yeah.
What a date.
So bad.
I think everybody just followed what I didn't do.
Yeah. No, it's not getting till I'm down here in the hall.
Nope, nope. 41 years, QA. There you go. Even. Going forward.
You gotta cut some of the things.
Oh, okay. Is that under business or? Oh, by the end.
Well, it's these things, these are the signature hold.
So Scott and John, you sign this as well. I'll do it tomorrow.
The next is, we've been asked to approve the raffle permit for St. John the Baptist. They're holding their annual 50 raffle on October 19th. And that's a one-day license, expires today on the 19th. I move the sign. last one I have is a bond for Chad and his guys so that they're able to dig a state road, like School Street and Main Street. It's called a street opening bond. And we do this is annually, correct?
It's a $100 fee to have and carry a $5,000 bond. So should the need for Chad to open up during an emergency any state road, school or main, the state will require you to have a bond. If it's an emergency and you don't have a bond, you can't open the road. So we just maintain one for that ease of work, should it come up.
It's just has one signature block, so I'll have to approve it, I'll have to sign it. I move that the board approve the street opening bond for the upcoming fiscal year with Gallagher Insurance Risk Management and Consulting for the amount of $100. Get it all?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Tricia?
Kathleen, aye.
Diane,
Laura?
Scott, aye. Road Street.
Thank you. Houston, this evening, the first is I have a request for the board to approve a capital expenditure for $14.24. Highway Department had to buy some trail anchor bolts for the rail trail, and I need it to be taken out of the Parks and Recreation Capital Reserve Fund.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Tricia, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Diane,
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Thank you. I have a second request to come out of the Highway Building Capital Reserve Fund. This is for the foundation RFP review and prelim and the final site design. The RFP review is $828. The pre and final site design is $9,450.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Tricia, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Diane,
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Business?
I have some other business. So recently there was a post on the fire department Facebook page that was very personal and I feel inappropriate. And it shouldn't have been, I feel there's a conflict with our ethics policy. But not only that, once it was posted on a public Facebook page, it becomes part of the public record to the best of my knowledge. And that post has since been deleted, which I believe violates the 91A public record laws. I'm not sure about that, but I would like to consult legal to find out how we should handle it. To me, it's a big deal.
So, just last Wednesday, and I can send this to you, there was NHMA, that very type of policy, discussed, I didn't send that to you, did I? Oh, okay, I'll send it. So basically, from what I remember, what they said was, if it's a town Facebook page, like the town Facebook page, you've got to be real careful, and you can't delete like people's comments because you're deleting, like feedback. But if somebody creates a page that's not the town's Facebook page, oh, that's rough, because it's not
It was a town.
sanctioned by the town, it's not,
I'd like to get that clarified because it isn't town. The page was Allenstown Fire Department. Jeff Gardner posted a link. I'm sure you all know exactly what post I'm talking about. He posted it on every Face Town page there was. The one that's Pembroke and Suncook. There's another one that's Pembroke and Suncook. He did it on the Allenstown community page. And I have no objections to anybody from the fire department posting their personal opinions under their own name. That's fine. Whoever did that post, if they want to share
It is not one that I maintain or anybody on the staff maintains.
That's gonna be key. I'm gonna send this out to you now.
But it is set up as Allenstown Fire Department, so it is an official page. And I would like to consult with legal on that.
Yeah.
It was, yes.
Logo on it.
And the implications there are twofold, because then there are a bunch of employees that work at that department that maybe don't share the same sentiment as the person that posted. And those employees are getting pulled into the fray, and they've already been complaining, feeling like they think they're caught in the crosshairs of actions. And when something like that is done, it reflects on that whole department, whether they wanted to be included in that or not. All of a sudden, it was portrayed as their opinion, and that was inappropriate.
Is this related to your email earlier that you sent me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did contact legal, because once I found out that it was called the Allenstown Fire Department page, I found out who the owner of the page is, and it's not currently an employee. It's a retired employee, so it is a private page. Even though they use Allenstown Fire Department, they can call their page whatever they want, but it's not a current employee, so it doesn't represent a town opinion.
So it's a retired employee, they establish it as an employee at the time they were an employee.
I don't know how they established it, but it was set up by a retired person. And if that is the case, then 91A would not apply. I asked that because of the way, once I found out what it was, I asked who had set it up, and I was informed that it was a private citizen.
And there's nothing the town can do to make that remove.
There could be 5 different Allenstown community pages, or
Well,
there-
community pages there can be, but using the town's name, if somebody sets up an
Yeah,
Allenstown
they
Police
can-
Department page, that
they-
seems like.
they can name it whatever they want. Unless specifically there is an ordinance that controls the town logo. Some towns have an ordinance which allows them only to control the town seal. I'd have to look. I don't know.
I remember in the past.
Then you could ask the person to take the logo off. They don't have permission to use it. But it still would not change the name.
I just sent you that link. I
Okay.
thought I could go slide by slide and find that, but John sent that. That's the webinar that I attended last week. And it's about this, so.
I will check.
It
That's
was
what
very,
they said.
it was very inappropriate. It was hugely inappropriate.
I
It was
know,
like
I
I
know.
said, if somebody wants to post under their own heading, how they feel, that's fine. I know that repeatedly it's been said that I'm attacking individuals or there's personal issues. That has not been the case. As an elected person, when issues come before me, it is my job to look at the facts and make those decisions on those issues as they come before me. And sometimes, if it's one that is tied to one individual, like in the instance of going from part-time to full-time, there is going to be some personal stuff. It's not personal, me against you. It's the merit of the proposal. How does that work out? Whose best interest is it in? Is it in the taxpayer's best interest? It has nothing to do with anything personal against anybody else.
When you-
That post
Okay, well,
was
we disagree on that.
incredibly personal. It was incredibly personal.
And
And
you've been
nothing
very
I posted.
personal on
When
it.
you-
Nothing I
Yes,
posted.
when
has been like
you
that.
refer to me as
No
a
names
con-
included.
hold on, when you refer to me
I
as a
didn't
con-
refer to
hold
you
on,
as a
I'm
con
talking.
artist. That was Jeff.
No.
That was a conversation between me and Jeff kept saying that I was micromanaging with my decisions.
Kathleen,
I called Jeff a
Kathleen,
con artist.
No. If you read the message, what was relayed was not that case. And in regards to the Juneteenth holiday, you specifically said words that never came out of my mouth, which is affecting my character, not just here, but in my life. That is what was inappropriate. And yes, your reference did say people who make quick decisions and force people to make quick decisions are con artists. That was in reference to me.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
No.
If you have a conscience, but actually it was
All right.
me and
All right,
Jeff and
all right,
Steve
you know,
Roach.
We will agree to disagree.
We've already litigated this. Kathleen, do you think maybe all of this could have been avoided if you took the advice of our lawyers who said stay off Facebook while you're an elected official?
No,
Just throwing it out
the
here.
lawyers have never given me that advice. And again, as He said it's not my case. He didn't say that he did.
He did.
We beat this to death. We beat this to death. We got some stuff done tonight. Let's go forward.
I do have another, other business item. I asked some questions to the finance department today about purchase orders and purchase orders numbers, manifest and all of that. And so, you know, Veronica did feedback to me that
Yep.
she would go forward with the process.
That's been rectified, yeah.
So do we know how much that purchase order piece of that system would cost us?
No. I
Could we
was,
find that out?
I can, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that. So for transparency of accounting purposes, it is best practices when you're using purchase orders that the purchase order includes the vendor's name and invoice number, which some haven't been, so Veronica is correct in that. And the other piece is that the manifest includes the purchase order number. So right now, it's sort of a manual process here, which could very easily be done, very streamlined through our AP system. But there's an additional cost that we would have to have for that piece, and I'd like to find out what that is. This could be a huge time saver for Veronica, the department head, for us, anybody who's signing purchase orders and that whole process. Thank you. So I would like to make a motion to ratify the consent calendar of August 25th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Trish, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Laura, aye.
Scott, aye.
And then I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for the public meeting of July 28th, 2025.
What was that, the?
July 28th, 2025. Not the August 11th, is not listed
Okay.
here.
Is
So
that because
maybe
those?
we do that
those
separately,
changes you
yeah.
made? Is that why August 11th wasn't on there? Or was that, did you forget to change the date?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's a leftover from previous.
What are the, that could be, what are the minutes?
It's Robert.
We already
So it's
said it.
Typo.
Okay.
It should be August 11th.
Okay.
Yep,
August 11th,
thank you for catching that.
So change that motion to accept the public minutes of August 11th, 2025.
And I sent an email showing the amendment that I wanted to make to those minutes, and I think Trish had asked for an amendment as well.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of your amendment or your summarization?
I want the minutes to accurately reflect the conversation. The way they are now, a whole section of the conversation is missing, and I feel an
But
important
it was
point
just
to make there.
summarization, correct? Not word for word?
It can be verbatim, I actually put that in. If you'd rather have verbatim, I put the time period that I'd like the verbatim speech from the fire chief. But I think the summarization shows what I wanted it to say. He said he did have the information I requested all along. He was not providing it because he felt he was being attacked and that I was going to weaponize the information, so he didn't want to share it publicly.
To clarify your thing, I said that if I had the time to build the system to pull the numbers out, because.
I believe my quote says that, and I thought that. If I have, yes, I believe it does.
What you just said is not, I think you're speaking of, because I specifically said, we have a system,
John,
that if I
you
had the
have,
time to build
you
it.
have the
Excuse
amendment,
me.
you said you were bringing it. Can you read it, please, to clarify, so we can hear what's in it?
Could we
what's
let,
not?
could we let him finish what he was saying
I know,
before he
I was just
interrupted him?
interrupted, I'm trying to get my words out, so.
I think this will clarify. He's trying to explain something that this will tell you exactly what the amendment is.
I listened to that many times.
So I'm reading your summarization.
Yes, that is the amendment I would like added to the minutes.
Kathy?
Can we actually go on the video and summarize by her, because I believe that if she puts in her words there, I'd like to actually get it from the video.
Well, there is the option of 1 hour, 24 minutes, 12 through 1 hour, 25 minutes, 22, if the board would like that.
To be verbatim.
Verbatim.
From the
Not the words
video.
that somebody else is putting in there, because I don't want it to be used and misconstrued, because I want to be accurate to what I said, not just put in words that somebody else is putting there.
So if the board wants to amend the minutes, I would put that in the amendment section to take verbatim statement from 1/24/12 through 1/25/22.
And I actually hear what you put in there for words. As a person in the department, I'd like to see what was put, to make sure that I actually read it.
Summarization.
So
Can I
the
read
sure. That would be the bottom portion.
Can you read it out loud so everybody can
I'm
hear?
gonna read it first.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are here for public meeting, they might be curious.
They might be.
You wanna read it? Yeah, if you like. So my summarization was after where the current minutes state they should all be working together. I would like inserted, Kathleen asked Chief Lambert if he had the information that she had requested. The chief stated that he did have the information and did track it. He said that if he had the time, he has software that tracks many data points, but he doesn't have the time. He would have provided the information, but he was assassinated publicly and didn't want to be bothered with the fire chief position. He said that he talks with the town administrator and monitors the requested information on a weekly basis, but doesn't want it to be weaponized on Facebook. Ms. Adinolfo and Mr. McDonald expressed concerns with the information that was being requested, from whom, and how it would be reviewed. And then continue with the statement that is in the minutes that reflects Ms. Caruso withdrawing her motion and Kathleen withdrawing her second.
So I took a look at that, just that section, and I think if we want to put verbatim what was said, they should go back to the transcriptionist, let them do it,
Yeah.
and then we, in the next meeting, listen to what's been said and verify it word for word, so it's accurate.
So then just want to
Because
clarify.
we just,
Well, that's why I sent it to you with the minutes, because you could have logged on and watched YouTube, and I
I
hope
did.
if you thought there was
I
a
watched-
discrepancy, like,
well,
you
I
could say,
didn't-
wait a minute, that's not
yeah, I
right.
didn't remember, and didn't want to be bothered with the fire chief position. I
So
don't
that's one
remember
thing I
that.
just read.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
all right.
And that's a quote for the position, so let me clarify on the record. I care about the position. You chose not to do the full-time position. My point of that matter was, what did you just say, Diane?
Didn't want to be bothered with the fire chief position?
I always want to be bothered by the fire position. But I didn't want to be bothered. My whole point was, you chose not to do and vote for it because you guys didn't want to. I have to move forward as a department head. I can't sit in the past and be bothered by the fact of trying to wonder what would happen. My job is to move forward, which I would do. So please don't take it out of context if that's the case.
No, we could do verbatim.
That's why we should
Yeah,
make sure it's verbatim.
And make sure that's verbatim, what I just said is
Take it
verbatim
out
in
of
this
context.
minute too. I want all of it to be verbatim. What I just said for my statement there too, because I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to get spun out of control.
I agree that, it is a point that was in that communication. I agree with taking it verbatim from the minutes, from the recordings. And transparency with that.
Where do we stand? Someone make a motion here? I don't recall. I don't think anyone did.
Right, there's no, the second thing, Ms. Adolfo and Mr. Don expressed concerns with the information that was being requested. When I listened to it again, I remember what I said, my concern was, why are we gonna, because you had made the motion, why are we gonna request information from the fire department? And not everybody else.
And
And
then,
then,
And that's why I was saying it, which is a good point.
Yeah.
I can see that in there too,
we need
but that's why I was saying.
like Eric running the fire department and Jeff running the police department, not doing, paperwork, that's not useful. As thought I said, we should meet with the department heads to determine what information are we looking for, what can they provide, is it useful to them, is it useful to us? So, I think we're still not there yet,
No.
right, with that?
so would you like your quote verbatim as well?
Well, I'm not too worried about mine, I mean, it just,
To
if
me,
you look at this, it says we express concern, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say what we were talking about. I don't know that you said anything, did you say anything?
I don't recall saying anything, but
I don't know.
Yes, you said it was overly description of
So-
who, because you said it should be all the departments, or who will be asking it to, how it would be reviewed, because you had said
Somebody-
that, would it be too much?
Let's make a motion, let's make a motion here and move on. My concern is you're gonna change the context. I don't know if that's
No, it's not
your
gonna,
goal,
it is not
because
gonna change the
the
context.
minutes aren't supposed to be verbatim. We had a couple of verbatim
Right now,
minutes.
the context is off because it says that Trish made a motion. The chief said everyone should be working together, and then we rescinded our motion. That changes the
Yeah,
context.
it
That is not what
changes.
happened. That is not how that conversation went down at all.
Because I did rescind it because a good point was made that I was only talking about the fire department at that point. And I agree that it is something that should be discussed town-wide. And that's the purpose of the rescission. So I agree that the minutes, the way they are written right now, does not reflect the intent of the decision.
And I also want to make sure it's recorded that the fire chief stated he did have the information I requested and was outright refusing to provide it.
No.
That is what you said. We can do it verbatim. We'll do it verbatim how it came out of
The
your mouth.
words you just
That's
said
fine.
that I outright refuse is an absolute inaccuracy.
We'll have your verbatim statement.
Right, so is,
Yeah.
it was going to be to approve them, we, of course, they didn't want to.
Yeah, someone.
So I can make a motion, but we don't, this is what we want to do. I make a motion that we return the minutes to the translator?
Transcriptionist.
Transcriptionist, and she go back and look at that time frame that's in question, and probably even before it, so that we can capture everything so it's fair to everyone.
Eric, can I have my notes back? So you want to include from the timestamp of 1:24:12 through 1:25:22.
That's
Prior to that, she reads her motion, and then the chief starts with his explanation.
So,
And that picks up where I asked,
so,
so
yeah,
I haven't had this information, because I thought you didn't have it. I said, so it hasn't been available to you. And he said, no, I had it.
so yes, it goes back to the transcriptionist. She has that, we take a look at it, and,
So is that the timestamp you want in your motion?
yeah, because I don't have the thing, I don't have the YouTube open. in
So
front
it's
of me.
1:24:12
Yeah,
through 1:25:22.
so that's that whole,
That's the segment that Kathleen
all right,
proposed.
what's that, a minute? That's,
A little over a minute.
yeah, a little over a minute, yeah. But then
I
I
was
think,
Yeah,
trying,
that's some stuff
I was
off the
trying
end.
to be succinct for the minutes. I think again, the abbreviation I did, if you watch, that's why I sent it ahead of time. I sent you the minutes, you could go to YouTube and you could specifically come back and say, I didn't say weaponized, or I didn't say this. All of it is exactly what was said. I was trying to switch it down so that we wouldn't end up with 7 pages of minutes. But if you guys want 7 pages of minutes, that's
well,
fine.
we need enough so that that whole conversation, we can't just take half the conversation, because then it's going to be taken out of context.
It's because
Yes,
there's
I
another
agree.
part of that whole conversation that reading the minutes is not there. What I just read there is you're leaving off the bottom half where it all came together and we had a conversation. So if you're looking at that section that you want to come out is going to be used, in my opinion, to make you look bad.
So we
And I
possibly,
don't want
so we
that.
need
I
to
want the
go,
whole thing
above
because I
the-
want
above the
truth
law.
and not what's going to be spun against me anywhere. Because I think that's what's going to happen. So I want to make sure that it's fact, to your point, 100%. But I never said that I was holding information and absolutely refusing to give it to you. Again, that is
So
not
we
the
need to
truth.
figure out how many minutes that we want verbatim on there, so.
Well, my thought is that we just have the transcriptionist go from the time you make
Do
the
the whole
proposal.
thing, from the time Trish makes her motion to the time that we withdraw
Well,
the
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, if it was prior to that,
So
I
we're
made my
free.
statement, then I made the motion, so anything after the motion sits on that.
it
same
should have the
topic.
whole story.
Yeah. And that's under other business. In the motion, in the minutes.
So from other business, when you, oh, So your motion,
from the motion to home.
after you get done your statement, you make a motion.
Mhm, yeah,
So from there to the end,
yeah.
we can go verbatim.
Yes,
Is everybody in agreement?
yes.
Yeah, we just need the whole
No.
story.
Okay,
This has gone far enough.
okay. So, so at this point, since that's a major change and you still want to review it before you sign it, I would recommend you table the minutes this meeting, and I'll bring them back up at our next meeting with the correction.
I would like to add that there was another topic under other business that was not covered in the minutes at all, and that was Laura bringing up the ethics policy, and I believe that should be included in the minutes, that subject. It doesn't have to be, verbatim, I don't think, but that it be mentioned in the minutes, because it was a topic of discussion.
Well, what all she did was hand out the ethics policy. I mean, so I looked up today, what should be in minutes, and it should be, a description of like what was discussed, any decisions made, and any votes taken.
I think
So,
Tricia's saying it was I discussed. think it was, like, that's how it ended up on this agenda, was because she passed out and made a direct request in a minute.
And we gave feedback on.
It's 2 sentences.
Yeah, that's what she's saying, add 2 sentences, but it includes the topic that was discussed.
There's still some housekeeping here. We not? Payroll, we got.
Yes, I know, I will get to that. I was talking about the minutes.
So is there a motion and a second to table the minutes?
Full motion to table the minutes from August 11th, 2025.
All in favor?
Tricia.
Kathleen, aye.
Yeah, all right.
Scott?
4-1. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payroll and accounts payable manifest, 2025 check manifest batch number 158, and payroll manifest of August 21st, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Tricia.
Kathleen, aye.
Renee, aye. All right.
Scott, aye. We have a non-public here, John?
No, we did not.
No non-public. Any other business before the board that we haven't discussed at tonight?
Just one quick thing.
Right.
Just so people are aware, so last year, on 9/11, one of the firefighters that established spoke to our priest here, and there was a nice prayer session that was done, and the Elstown Fire Department went. And I talked to Ben this year, I don't think he's working that day, but, so I told him I would help him organize it, because I think it was a nice thing to do. So I got an email to the priest, he got back to me, I got to talk to the other priest, because the other one's going to be out of town. So anyway, long story short, I'm going to organize that again, and I'll send out emails, and I think we should, last year was just the Elstown Fire Department, but I wanted to invite the surrounding towns, fire and police, because it's only the fire department that, lost lives there. So that's going to happen, I just have to work out the details with Father Andre, and as soon as I do that, I'll shoot out an email to,
You'll notify us.
I'll notify yeah, from John, and then I'll send one to, because I gotta get emails from, remember, MPPE, and then Epsom, Hooksett.
Got them all, just tell me you email them.
Okay,
Yes,
oh, okay,
yes.
and, I'm thinking Deerfield too, because I know some Deer could come to our church.
Yeah, I have a chief of the Black Cross.
Okay, oh, great. So that's gonna happen. Thursday's a regular scheduled mass at 8:30, so my guess is like following that's gonna be 9 o'clock, and that's when we'll, so hopefully we can get a good turnout. This was a nice thing.
Yeah, nice.
I also just wanted to add, Old Homes Day, the firefighter cadets and association did the amazing job at their stand selling hamburgers and hot dogs. We do it every year. We've raised a significant amount of money for the association and the cadets. And they worked really hard, so that was very, very positive. And the farmers market craft